Are we on Restream?
And we are now on Restream.
Hey!
Hello.
Hi!
Hi.
Oh!
Hey.
Whoa!
Oh!
Hey!
2 hours of this.
Hey!
Hi!
Yeah, that Joss Whedon script was shitty. All they did was like, whoa!
See why they passed on that one.
A lot of exclamation points.
Horrible.
We're gonna go a different
Are you
way.
bringing this in?
I'll bring this in. Welcome to Color Circuit. This is the second iteration of Rough Draft Theater, although the first time we've called it Rough Draft Theater.
We didn't call it
Yeah.
Rough Draft the first time?
No, we called it live script read because we
that's
are
literally
bad
what
at
it was.
names.
Yeah.
Rough Draft Theater sounds pretty good.
I
Don't
like
you
that.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that on a T-shirt.
So today we are reading Joss Whedon's Pass at the Wonder Woman script, written in 2006. We have it right in front of us here. It says Silver Pictures along every page.
Yeah, it's hard to read.
Hard to read. A controversial script.
We're not
which we
supposed to
talk
have
about.
this. Like, people aren't supposed... That's why there's the
Yeah, it
watermark
says
on
right
every
here.
page.
This is a material of these people. Please do not talk about
Don't
this.
do what.
Well, Color Circuit's been really fun, you guys.
Yeah.
As a last hurrah, this.
I don't want to get arrested.
I
on
mean,
the first thing I do with you
All it
guys.
says is strictly prohibited.
Yeah, we'll
That
see
sounds
how
strict.
By
strict.
what?
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see
know.
how
Yeah.
strict.
Who's going to come to our doors? What I'm wondering.
You don't even know where you live.
But-
Just text me for Dylan's address and I'll give it to you.
There you go.
To my far right, we have Scott Brown.
Hi.
Hello, Scott Brown. To my immediate right, we have Kendra Jean.
Hey!
I am Dylan Garcia, and our guest today is Nick. What's your last name, Nick?
Toro.
Nick Toro.
Toro. You can
Toro.
say Toro.
Are you a Taurus?
I'm a Virgo,
Or,
so I need to like straighten everything. And then
Is that what Virgos do?
That's
I
what
have
we
no
do.
idea what the...
So, we'll give you a little bit of
Astrological
background
things
on the
and-
script, but to kind of tell you why we're wearing these funky hats, or at least most of us are, we're going to try things a little bit differently than we did last time. We have three main speaking parts in this script, and that includes Wonder Woman, Steve, I think is the name of the secondary character,
Steve.
and then the narrator. There's a better word for narrator. I don't remember what it is.
Well, he's...
orator?
Orator?
the
Well, narrator's descriptive because, yeah, it's going to be doing all of the scene changes, the describing of where the scene is,
Yeah.
the motions of the characters. Yeah, it's like a kind of a God voice sort of thing. Narrator is good enough, yeah.
God voice.
So I want you guys to know that I desperately pleaded to be Wonder Woman the whole time because I thought it was offensive to
Not
have a
gonna
man
happen.
read for her. Yeah.
Not going to happen.
And we...
And the men shot me down.
We-
We're like, you don't have
I didn't
opinions.
officially vote one way or another. on
Nick,
that.
you were the
I
one
was
that was
the
most
deciding-
You were the lukewarm
Yeah.
water between our hot and cold opinions.
Yes.
You're just like, hey, guys.
Come
Come on.
Go either way. Yeah, she is a woman.
Plus, I'm gender fluid, so I get to wear that crown every once in a while. The idea here, we haven't actually talked about it, is that these hats will be moving around throughout this script, so everybody gets to play Wonder Woman, everybody gets to play the narrator, everybody gets to play Steve. At some
Everyone
point.
wins.
Everyone wins.
Yes.
Yay.
We don't keep score. Everyone gets a
Participants.
trophy.
We all
So,
get a
so
participant.
tell us a little bit about this controversial script. I feel like Scott has the best background.
Yeah, so I remember when this was floated around the internet at the time. This is what, 2006? It was rumored and it came out that Joss Whedon was tapped to write and direct a Wonder Woman movie.
Hold on, really quick. Bon is our wonderful producer today, and also I can hear his keyboard clicking because he hasn't turned off his microphone. Turn. Anyways, keep going, Scott.
Boom.
And everyone, myself included, and my sister, we're all big Joss Whedon fans. We're like, yes, of course. This is going to be amazing. He wrote Buffy, all these amazing female characters, strong female characters. I can't wait for this Wonder Woman movie to happen. And it took forever. And then we heard, they parted ways. Joss and the studio parted ways. And we never really, and we're just like, all right, never going to see a Wonder Woman movie, or at least a Joss Whedon one, and it's true. So the Wonder Woman movie currently is out. It's directed by a female. Don't bother to remember that name. And it's very good. It's well written. I
It's a
enjoyed
great
it.
movie.
I've seen it twice. It's great. And the Joss Whedon script has leaked online. And it's
That's where we come in.
We have found, and other people have noted that it is kind of sexist. It's misogynist. It's like, wow, didn't see that one coming from Joss Whedon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a controversial figure too. I mean, he is known for having these strong female lead characters,
Right.
Angel, Buffy, etc.
Angel's a
But-
guy.
Huh?
You said strong
I'm
female
sorry, not
characters,
Angel.
and you
I
said
didn't mean
Angel.
that. I meant who played opposite, but who was
Faith.
the other? No, who was the
Faith,
I was thinking
Willow.
of Faith
Yeah, Willow's a strong female character
and
too.
Willow.
But
I
like
love Willow.
Firefly, all those
Yeah.
characters, Kaylee and all. Yeah, I mean,
Firefly is
really,
my favorite Joss Whedon project.
Mhm,
What's yours?
Firefly.
Firefly.
probably Buffy.
Buffy.
I think this piece that we're about to dive into.
I love this. I don't know why they didn't make it that. Oh, we'll make it for you, Joss.
That's exciting.
It's not Josh, right? It's Joss.
Joss.
Okay.
Joss Whedon.
Like a snake.
Whose name is frequently mixed up with Will Wheaton, I think.
Will
Joss
Whedon.
Whedon
Oh, wait a
and
second.
Will Wheaton.
I thought this
Wheaton
was
with
the
a T,
Will
right?
Wheaton
Yeah.
vehicle
No.
that we were
Yeah,
working on.
WHEDON for Joss and
Big Will Wheaton
Wheaton.
fan since the
Wheaton.
Stand By Me.
Yeah,
so.
that's a great movie too. Let me.
Yeah,
So, without further ado, have we doed enough?
I think we've a dude.
yeah.
We've a
Think of
dude?
a dude. So who's starting us off? It looks like
Well,
you
we have
the
hats
cap.
already on, so let's just start from there and just do this bad boy.
So narrator cat, Wonder Woman cat, Steve cat.
Steve Cap.
All right.
All right. In the time of the ancient Greeks, the most powerful warriors on earth were the Amazon women. Proud, mighty, and cunning, they were never defeated in battle. Legend tells that Ares, the god of war, grew jealous of their power and had them imprisoned. Their wrists bound in mystical chains that robbed the Amazons of all their power. Shamed and imperiled, the Amazon queen, Hippolyte, prayed to Athena, goddess of wisdom, for deliverance from their slavery. The Amazons vanished from the earth. Exterior sky, day. We see the rolling gray fury of a storm, and an old twin-engine prop plane roars into frame from above us. She bucks bravely amidst the wind, rain, and crackling flashes of lightning. We can heat her practically shaking apart. Interior plane. Inside, the noise is even worse. Boxes of cargo, most with a red cross, shake and pitch with the plane. The pilot holds the steering column as it bucks, maybe 30 kind, determined eyes in a working man's face. Steve Trevor takes a hand off the wheel long enough to jiggle the radio toggle. He has to shout just to hear himself.
Groundlings, this is Lame Duck. Come back.
His answer is static. The plane pitches.
This is Lame Duck. I got a force gazillion hurricane in my face. Visibility is 0 and my readings are...
The dials are spinning and moving uncontrollably.
They're shot. My instrument panel's having serious emotional issues. I am lost at sea. Ben, Griffin, come back.
Lightning rides down inches from the wings. Steve banks hard as his radio crackles. A South African accent coming through. Ben on the radio.
Oh shit. Lame duck. This is ground. Come back.
Ben.
Not that bad.
Thank you. Steve, be advised. There may be a weather pattern heading.
What?
There may be a little weather.
Okay, I'll look out for that then.
Can barely read you. What's your bearing?
The scorching pop makes Steve throw off his headset. Communication fried. He concentrates on looking ahead. Exterior plane. Lightning hits the left propeller. Interior plane. Steve stubbornly rides the wheel as she starts tilting down, bucking sporadically. Steve's face sets as he realizes he's not gonna make it. The windshield is pounded by rain, then isn't, as the clouds whip away to reveal an island, green and lush.
Where the hell?
The grinding of his dying plane reminds Steve to stop wondering where he is. He scans the terrain for a landing spot, but this side of the island is all trees and waterfalls. He banks toward a river, the thing most resembling a landing strip. The plane dips, a peak between him and the river. Interior, exterior plane. It clears a mountainous peak by inches. Steve pulls up on the column with everything he's got. The plane skims treetops and clears to the riverbed. The back hits first, then the front slams down. Water geysering up in front of Steve as the plane rockets down the river, clipping the trees on the bank with its wings. The river takes a sharp turn, and the plane heaves off to the side, taking out trees, bucking brutally. Steve's chair wrenches out of its mooring, and he tumbles back, strapped in and helpless as he bounces off walls, and huge metal boxes are tossed on top of him. So far, really sexist, you guys. It's all about this one guy.
Well, why is the plane a girl? Because
Right?
it's failing?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bitch of a plane.
Yeah.
The plane spins out, hitting an incline and sliding sideways downhill till it stops short by a couple of big trees. As it settles, the camera moves above it, then past to show the nearly endless ravine the trees kept it from plummeting into. At the bottom of the ravine, a pool of blue water, fed by a waterfall on the other side. Interior plane. The terrible wrench of violated metal stops. Steve wriggles out of his chair, but his legs caught under boxes and reaches for it. He realizes he's got a broken wrist. He breathes heavily, looking around for a way out of this. The thump on the roof makes him jump. He looks up, not understanding what he's hearing. Then there's another. Something's on top of the plane. His eyes fearfully follow the sound as it moves up the plane. He looks about for something to defend himself with. Something tugs at the door. Steve watches as, with an agonized screech, it gives a bit, and a bit more. The door is pulled right off its hinges, and there stands the silhouetted girl in the archaic white shift, peering into the plane as the door continues to twirl in air behind her. Finally dropping out of sight as she steps tentatively into the plane, and we hear a distant splash.
Can I have the hat?
Oh,
Close on the girl. To say she is beautiful is almost to miss the point. She is elemental, as natural and wild as the luminous flora surrounding. Her dark hair waterfalls to her shoulders in soft arcs and curls. Her body is curvaceous, but taut as a drawn bow. She wears burnished metal bracelets on both wrists, wide and intricately detailed. Her shift of another era, we'd call it ancient Greek. She is barefoot. She looks out about her with intense curiosity, her face coming out of silhouette and into the light, even as she concludes. Diana.
It's hollow.
As she steps in a bit more, Steve gets a look at her. This is definitely not what he expected.
Hey.
She starts at his voice, instinctively moving back towards the doorway, though more in strategy than settlement.
Wait, no, I need help. I'm stuck here. Do you speak English?
She steps in. Check out his plight.
Hi, yeah, it's my leg. It's pinned. If you could get to a phone, get some equipment here to...
Squatting, she pulls the box off him with one hand, never even looking at it as she tosses it back up onto a shelf. She stares at him intently.
You look horrible.
The leg's okay, but I think my wrist is broken.
No, your face. It's so...
She can't find the word, but her gesturing to her own chin might indicate it's the stubble that's throwing her off.
Well, I was crashing, you know. I didn't have time to gussy up.
I saw. Your glider doesn't seem to understand the air very well.
Storm fried my engine. I didn't even think I was going to make it. Actually, I'm not entirely sure I did.
She reaches for his face, touches it. Realization breaks her face into a wondrous grin.
You're a man!
Wow. No getting anything past you.
But he's as mesmerized as she, neither of them moving as her fingers sensuously traces his face. After a time...
Who are you?
Diana.
Steve. Trevor. It's
one is
nice
it?
to... It's
got
nice...
me both.
The plane lurches again, breaking the spell not a little.
We gotta get out of here.
She slides her arm around him, gracefully pulling them both up and moving to the door. He looks down at the abyss.
Whoa, no, not a plan here.
She grabs his shirt front and sticks him out over the ravine.
No, wait, Jesus.
It's all right.
It's not all right.
Try to roll. Watch your arm.
Roll where?
She heaves him up and over. He lands on top of the plane, rolling and sliding till he goes off the other side. He lands hard, takes a moment to recover, and looks up.
You feel safer now?
Steve has 15 sharp, gleaming spears in a semicircle around his head. They are held by 15 women, armored and helmeted in the Greek style, backlit enough to be dark and almost inhuman.
Maybe.
They march, their feet tromping with grim precision. This is outside of the city. They have encircled him and bound his wrists with rope. Diana walks beside him, staring at the enormous, austere Hephaestia, captain of the guard, who holds the other end of the rope that leads the captive Steve.
Look, I just want to use a phone. I've got important supplies on my plane. There's people waiting.
Hephaestia yanks his rope, and he goes to his knees.
Hephaestia!
She moves to help him up. He stands, continues walking.
So, did any of you guys hear about the 20th century? It just happened. It was so cool.
This is not as it should be. I'll make it right.
It is not to be spoken to.
You overstep your authority, Hephaestia.
And you have broken the first law. How do you think the queen will take that?
That's my concern.
Yes, it is. By all rights, your fate should be his.
And who will administer my fate? You.
Hephaestia backs off, turns, and begins them marching again.
You should have killed it.
I will not kill a helpless man. Human.
Hey, for the record, I'm not helpless. I'm just biding my time till I wake up.
This last trails off as they reach the top of a hill and look out at Themyscira. It's a vision of a city nestled in the lush green hills, Greek in many aspects. It has an organic look that is particular to the Amazons, not just straight stone columns. More than 100 women are visible, walking, talking, weaving, forging. There's an arena near the
Bitches
bottom
love weaving.
with women training at games and swordplay. As our gaze sweeps over this city,
Gaze.
it lands on the top of the hill where the Queen's court sits. It is wide, open, majestic, but not gaudy.
Ah, because we're women.
They get it.
Where-
They get it.
Where the hell am I?
This is Themyscira. Home.
Who's home?
The Amazons.
The Amazons are a legend.
We are? Good. We should be.
Exterior within the city a bit later, they pass by open shops, but there's little commerce being done as every eye locks on the man being led by.
The Amazons were Greek and ancient. How can you speak my language?
All languages come from the same place.
A girlfriend of Diana's, Aethra,
Aethra?
more student than athlete, and very lovely, hurries gracefully to her side.
Diana, is that really
Steve, I'm a Steve.
This is unbelievable. What's to be done with him? That's for the queen to decide.
Come with us to the court.
It never occurred to me not to.
She falls into step, whispering into Diana's ear. Diana looks briefly shocked.
Well, I would have. Well, you can.
Interior Queen's
Was
Chamber,
that a
afternoon.
Okay, never mind. Go on.
I would have had that.
Interior Queen's Chamber, afternoon. Hippolyte is every inch a queen, noble, beautiful, thoughtful. She is middle-aged, but very much in her prime. She is approached by Circe, an older woman. Circe is honest and humble, but her eyes pierce well beyond common sight.
The god returns, my queen.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Let's see what is Hippolyte. Is it what we thought? A man. All this time, and the gods still mock us? Alive? Hephaestia would have killed him on the spot, but she was not the first to find him.
This news tightens the corners of Hippolyte's mouth, but she shows a lighter face. It's what? Hippolyta's mouth.
Who
But
said
sh-
that?
That's just in. It's pronounced Hippolyta.
Hippolyta.
This news tightens the corners of Hippolyta's mouth, but she shows a lighter face as she turns.
Need I bother to ask who was?
Close on Diana, looking out with defiant reserve. We are now in the royal hall in the afternoon. Actually,
Yeah, switch hats.
Switchies.
Switchies.
Now you're everyone else.
Okay, great.
All right. Remember my great voices I did for all those women.
Yeah.
All right, the Royal Hall, afternoon. The huge space is open on all sides to the lush green and shining city around it. Pillars hold up the latticed ceiling, the middle open to the sky. Hippolyte throne is a step up from the floor, and she sits in it contemplatively. Ringed around the room are assorted Amazons, counselors, guards, weavers, and the curious throng. Steve is on his knees, head low, with Hephaestia by his side to keep him that way. A few paces behind him stands Diana, Aethra at her side.
Do you know where you are?
No, I got blown off course. I have no idea where I am. And even if I did, I'd be happy to forget.
Let him stand.
He does, and she approaches him, still staying on the landing that gives her height advantage.
If we helped you repair your glider and sent you on your way, would you never speak word of this place?
Scout's honor.
She whips something at him, a glowing rope she had looped in her hand. It loops around him in an instant, binding to itself with a crack that startles everyone there. He stands, the glowing golden rope pinning his arms to his sides.
This rope was woven at Delphi by the oracles, blessed by Athena herself. Within it, there can be no lies, no prevarication. You will speak true.
I did. Except I wasn't a scout.
Were you sent here?
I was blown here. By a storm nobody else could see.
Murmurs! Aethra looks at Diana, but she is fixated on the proceedings.
Where were you headed?
Spell it out.
Olkinj. On the border of Albania. There's a camp of refugees there. My plane, my glider, has food and medical supplies on it that they need.
And if you left, would you never speak of this place?
Never.
Not for gold, not for power?
No.
To save your own life?
No.
You have friends, family. If they were to be killed or tortured, would you betray us then?
Oh, yeah.
Much louder murmurs. Hippolyte whips the rope off him. It returns to her already coiled. She moves back to her throne, pondering, turns, and addresses the room.
No man may set foot on this island. This is our first and most sacred law. The penalty for trespass is death.
This is absurd.
Hippolyte shoots her a look that would shut anyone else up.
Laws mean very little to you, Diana.
Compared to a life, less than little.
The law considers every life. Every woman on this island is under my protection. Thousands of lives to weigh against one.
Your mouth's a little off, Your Majesty.
Hephaestia moves threateningly, whatever, towards him. A slight gesture from the queen stops her.
The refugee camp I was headed for? They've been cut off from the mainland for months by border wars. They're sick and they're starving. My people have been negotiating and scrounging and bribing to get one relief shipment in. One! You want to kill me? I can't stop you. And I don't really care. But my plane doesn't get where she's going. There'll be 3 dead for every life you think you're saving. What does your law say about that, bitch? Whoa! I added that one.
Joss Whedon.
I was in the moment.
Your concern is for these refugees?
You want to rope me?
She thinks, approaching him more closely.
And if I told you you must die, but I would ensure these supplies were delivered after?
I could trust you to do it.
My word as a queen.
A moment. He stares at her.
Deal.
No!
Diana!
This man is no warrior. An Amazon kills in battle, not in a bloodless negotiation.
Whether he means to be or not, This man is a threat to our existence.
This is not justice.
It is what is necessary, and it is my will.
The growing murmur stops dead. A record scratches. Diana and Hippolyte, or Hippolyte, or whatever, stare at each other. Okay. Stare at each other, each in controlled ire. Hippolyte turns away to Circe. Circa? To Circa.
Circe.
Seriously?
Make sure he is well housed for the night. Tend his arm. Leave us all. I would have words with my daughter.
Steve looks at Diana, making the connection. Blong. Just as Hephaestia ungently herds him away, the court empties quickly. Stop it. As Hippolyte warily sits and Diana steps up to her.
If you're going to ask me to stand by while,
What is the first law?
no man shall set foot on this island.
What is the first law?
Don't talk about Fight Club.
No man shall set foot on this island, lest the Amazon race should perish.
Shh.
We came here to escape the tyranny of men.
She holds out her hands as she speaks, and Diana places hers begrudgingly in them. Hippolyte turns them palms up as the light glints off Diana's bracelets. Ding.
You wear the symbols of our subjugation, but you don't know what it was like when these were bound and we were powerless. The pain, the shame, the slaughter. No Amazon will ever be bound again.
She moves by Diana as they both look out at Steve being led down the hill.
Steve Trevor may be an honest man, but he connects us to a world more brutish and mad than the one we fled. He cannot peaceably stay here, and he cannot be allowed to leave. Do you not see?
I see only murder.
Your eyes are clouded.
They are clear, Mother. Maybe for the first time.
She starts to leave.
I envy the luxury of your clarity. I am queen of Themyscira. My responsibilities weigh heavily on me. It's simpler for those who've never had any.
Diana throws
Ew.
her a frustrated look as she goes. We go to Steve's cell at night. Let's face it, it's really nice. Big, nicely furnished. A big bed, the works.
What?
Because men, right? Steve wanders glumly to a table covered with sumptuous fruits and baked goods. It's like the Beauty and the Beast setup. He stares at the banquet, picks up a perfect pear.
Prison food.
She steps out of the shadow behind him.
Why don't you care?
He turns, not particularly surprised to see her. She comes close as she talks. There is an attraction between them that neither of them mentions, or possibly even knows about.
If you live or die, do you really not care?
Is this a rescue?
So it matters to you.
Of course it does. It's just, there's other stuff that matters more.
Tell me
Tell you what,
about your world.
it's nice. It's round. What do you want?
I wonder if there's a reason for your coming. Some sign. Something for me to learn.
So my imminent death is, wow, all about you? You know, I really should rest up. Though, for the dying,
What a bitch, right?
why don't do this another time? That's what it says.
Yeah.
But
I'll call you. I mean it. Let's keep in touch.
you make no sense.
Have a good.
I thought all languages were as one. Let's keep in touch is American for get the hell out of my face.
I don't like your manner.
And I don't feature spending my last night on Earth playing Discovery Channel for some bored debutante.
I'm just trying
I'm
to
gonna leave.
understand.
Understand what?
Your world.
Can't.
Can't?
Is that another word? Is that another new word for you? Means are unable
You
to.
could have said cannot.
But you
Cannot,
won't
yeah.
even.
You and I have nothing in common.
He crosses back to the banquet table.
Has there ever been a day you didn't have everything you wanted? Have you ever been hungry?
She checks a pear at her.
Hard.
Hard pear.
Been cold?
It's a hard pear.
Worked 20-hour days underground for no pay? Been spat on, stepped on, shot at?
Approaches her again.
Your mom is Queen of Crazy Town. But she's right to be scared. You want to stay as far away from the real world as possible. They'd eat you alive, princess.
I am an Amazon.
Yeah. Bend still with your bare hands. In my world, you wouldn't last a day.
Then we do have something in common.
Oh!
What?
She exits. Exterior Steve's cell. As she strides glumly away from the room, the guards moving back in front of the doors, we see her at a distance, the camera coming around to find
Hippolyte.
Hippolyte
Hippolyte?
watching her, concern on her face. Interior temple night. We are close on Diana as she enters, lost in unhappy thought.
At least tell me you looked at it.
Aethra wraps her arms around Diana from behind, puts her head on Diana's shoulder. Diana puts her hand over Aethra's, smiling for the first time in a while.
How did you know I'd be here?
What knight are you not? Nobody knows you as I do, Aethra. They think you're just restless.
They think I'm a child, just like him.
And you are. You are.
Aethra, I've had more than...
Every night while I sleep, you come here to Athena's temple. What do you ask her for?
I ask what to ask, to know what I want, to be content. I am not what I should be. I can be more. I was meant to be more. I know it. To do something worthy. I ask Athena what that is.
And do you think she's answer?
Can it be a coincidence that a man should drop straight from the sky after all this time?
God damn it.
You really think you're the only woman on this island thinks that was her prayer being answered? 'Cause all we think about is dick.
I know nothing. Oh, that's you. Sorry.
I know nothing. Only that as unsettled in my mind as I have always been in my heart.
Aethra moves to her, takes her hand.
Then don't be a child. Don't ask for guidance, for permission. Don't ask anything. Tell Athena what you want. Maybe then you'll hear her reply.
Interior temple. Moments later, Diana is alone, walking to the statue of Athena. We pop back up to see the temple is huge, the statue 30 feet high. Diana kneels before the statue, looking up at it. She bends her head in prayer. We hold on her in near silhouette as they dissolve to morning, possibly with sped up clouds and shadows. Shows she has not budged an inch. Possibly, not sure. Interior temple, morning. She is still looking down when she hears a rustle. On the floor in front of her, a falcon alights. For a moment, they stare at each other. The falcon screams. Diana's eyes narrow. Interior, exterior, the royal hall, morning. Everyone is gathering. Steve is led forward, wrists bound.
Her
Unbound.
name is Hippolyte.
Whatever, man.
Hippolyte stands.
Step forward.
He does.
I'm afraid nothing has changed. The sentence stands.
Yeah, I figured.
Hands Circe a piece of paper.
This is all the information on how to get the supplies to Sully. To Dr. Sullivan. She'll know what to do with them. There's a note there for her and the guys. It doesn't say anything about this place.
Then you are prepared for your death.
Is that a joke?
I regret this. Truly, it will be quick.
She nods to Hephaestia, who takes a step forward, and a screech fills the air, everyone looking about as the same falcon wheels in from above, followed by a dozen others. Amazons look about, duck, not terrified but cautious. The first falcon lands on the queen's throne, screeches at her. Angle. At the feet of the people, we see huge snakes make their way inside as well. People step aside, and the snakes and the falcons effectively create a path through the crowd. The queen says nothing. She knows what's coming. Out of the glare of the sun step two sleek panthers, walking side by side up the path like bridesmaids. Always bridesmaids, never the bride. Steve looks back at them, at the queen.
You're gonna kill me with panthers? That's not quick.
Then we see her, coming behind the cats, swathed in cloth that acts as robe and hood. Her feet are sandaled in burnished gold, closed at the toe and reaching almost to the knee. A hint of the warrior's garb beneath the robe. The panthers part. The falcons perch.
What is this?
I invoke the right of trial.
No, I absolutely forbid you to.
You can't. I don't love the law, mother, but I do know it. No Amazon can be denied the right of trial.
Hippolyte looks down. Steve leans over to Aethera.
Trial by what?
Diana pulls off her robe in one swift motion.
Combat, of course.
Beneath is the outfit. The burnished eagle breastplate, the deep red of the cloth bodice, the skirt of Greek's leather strips low in the middle and cut higher at the hips, dark blue with diamond-shaped silver inlays. The gold sandals matching the wristbands and tiara.
They match.
A sword
course they
is on
match.
her hip, which she pulls, pointing at Steve with it.
This is the law. If I can defeat Themyscira's greatest warrior in single combat, judgment on this man will be mine to render. He will live, return to his world, and I will go with him on adventures.
What did you...
Whoa, what?
If this world of his is truly mad, I would know why. I would know what it is we all fear so terribly.
Pointedly.
I consider it my responsibility.
Don't do this.
My terms are before the court.
A series of games would be necessary to determine.
That
We
was
can-
Circe.
We can waive that ritual, Circe. Everyone knows who our greatest warrior is.
Hephaestia.
There,
Hephaestia.
Hephaestia walks in.
Hephaestia straightens up. Satisfaction undermining her glare. She's waited for a long time for this match.
Would someone please give my mother a sword?
Hippolyte pulls off her own cloaks. Beneath, she too has a fighter's garb, though not as elaborate as Diana's. Circe nods at a girl who sounds a deep bell. Everyone moves back, including Steve and the animals. Tight-lipped, Hephaestia presents her sword to Hippolyte. Steve watches as Hippolyte tests the heft of the sword, twirls it, then turns and points it at her own daughter. An ornate chain fence suddenly rises before his face, startling him. Whedon to see it rise up on all sides between the two combatants and the audience, coming up out of long slits in the stone. Steve and Aethra wait, close to the fence.
This must seem strange to you.
No, my mom and I did this all the time.
Ah, Joss Whedon.
Thank you.
Diana and Hippolyte face each other, each with sword arm out to the side. They bring them in against their chests, blade down, elbow out, an Amazon salute. Then they move. No circling, testing. They're at each other fast as adders snapping, blades clanking off each other so fast and again, each fighter tough and precise and relentless. In Amazon training, they don't teach retreat.
What?
Everywhere Diana strikes, Hippolyte counters. Diana tries to control the fight through youth and relentless strength. And though she responds with no less, Hippolyte relies on experience over enthusiasm. Diana gets in close, and Hippolyte grabs her and throws her. A wrestler's throw. Diana rolling and coming back up with her mother's blade already upon her. Diana finds an opening and slices, ripping only fabric as Hippolyte leans back. They sweat, they grimace, they strain.
All the verbs.
But the fight slows down, not a jot. Close on the others. Steve, Aethra, Hephaestia, the last being the only one who is enjoying this.
Diana yelled.
That was yield, everybody.
Yelled. I said it right.
Diana gets the hilt of a sword across the jaw. She uses it to spin into a decapitating swipe that's blocked. Chink. Her sword loosens in her hand, and Hippolyte moves in. A foot planted hard to Diana's stomach sends her to her knees. Her sword knocks aside as Hippolyte raises hers.
No!
And brings it down with all her might. Diana screaming in pain as the sword hits her shoulder and shatters on her skin. For a moment, only the clatter of the shards on stone. Then Diana is back up in a flash, swinging at her mother with brutal force. Hippolyte blocks and pulls Diana close.
In his world, it may not be the sword that will break. You will be weakened and reviled, daughter. Death is out there. Here, you are safe. You're strong. You are a princess. And there, they will make you nothing. Now, will you yield?
Diana looks at her with intensity,
I
but
can't.
no malice.
I can't.
I know.
She steps back, throws her broken sword down. The fences instantly drop, though now they make no sound. We hear nothing but what is between these two as Hippolyte grabs Diana to her and embraces her fiercely, both women exhausted and emotional. Hippolyte kisses her head, takes it in her hands, inches from her face. She whispers urgently,
Remember who you are. There.
Okay, Mufasa.
They will... This is CNN. They will take everything from you but that.
She embraces her again. Exterior, the city, day. From above, we see the chamber. We may think it's the same scene, but Steve's plane roars into frame and heads off island, the camera following it towards the far-off clouds. Interior plane, day. Steve pilots. Diana kneels in the back, facing away from him. She's in a simple white tunic, which on her is anything but simple. A cloth is open to show her few belongings, the outfit, a sword, and the golden rope her mother used. She runs her hand along it. It glows, underlighting the uncertainty and regret she'll not show anyone else. Oh, shit. Jump to page here. Exterior coast day. As the plane approaches land, Steve is working the radio, and Diana stands behind.
Hey, good morning. What's going on?
Looking out. We hear Ben's South African accent coming in over the static.
Steve, where the hell have you been? We thought you were lost at sea.
Oh, I was lost all right.
South Africa.
Tell Griffin he better have a new engine in his kit. I had to put this thing back together with packing tape. How's my approach?
Little high, Skipper.
Gotcha. Weather looks good. Any wind I don't know about?
Skies are clear, Skipper. Hit the runway early or you'll run out of room.
Roger that. Lame duck out.
He turns off the radio.
Damn it.
What's wrong?
He called me Skipper.
What does that mean?
Trouble.
What kind of trouble?
Boom, boom, boom. Exterior runway, day. The lame duck touches down, and as it passes, we hold on two men in the foreground, cradling automatic rifles. They're soldiers. As the plane comes to a stop, we also see our crew, Ben Mzame, Dr. Moira Sullivan, and Griffin Thiel. Ben is dark-skinned, dignified, and dryly witty, the diplomat of the bunch. Sully is Irish. Red hair, a bright contrast to Diana's. Brusque and efficient, but warm to the core. Griffin, the mechanic, looks like he should be on a surfboard. Probably often is.
Yeah.
They emerge from their little tentplex, looking various shades of concerned. Angelon, Major Milan Goshnak, the cause for their concern. The soldier's leader, he is every inch the petty warlord. Warlord. You're the warlord. Interior plane, continuing. Steve finishes the approach and hops out of his seat, urging Diana away from the window.
Now look, you stay in here. No matter what, you stay in here. You stay hidden, got it?
How many other ways can he say it?
Hey, did I mention you need to stay in here?
Don't get
In the plane!
You're not ready to deal with these people. No offense. Stay.
He exits, and she watches
yes,
him
fair.
through the window as Sully and Ben come to greet him. Goshnak approaching from a distance. Exterior runway continuing.
Stay.
In the plane!
In the bed. Ben, Sully.
Where the hell have you been?
Funny story. But with poignant moments and a twist ending. Hello, Major Goshnak.
You haven't been fair with us, Mr. Trevor.
My apologies. I had to do repairs on the plane. I barely made it.
My men have been here 2 extra days providing protection for your people, and this vessel is much bigger than you indicated. Very conspicuous.
Everything's on your list. Nothing more, except a few personal items. Gifts to you for the safe landing.
Oh, I fucked those voices up. I'm sure you can work out some kind of compensation for the delay as well.
Goshnak.
Oh, me again.
You have no idea what it cost me to keep my men out of the field.
Sully.
We told you didn't need to stay.
Goshnak.
You're very naive, Doctor. Without my men to guard you, your precious refugees would have turned on you.
Sully.
Their families, Goshnak, and they're starving.
Ben.
Let me try and do that.
This is a lot of this, by the
Yeah.
way.
A lot of it, you guys could go.
We should probably
hang
take
out.
some characters.
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Let him work.
Ben.
Let him work.
We are grateful for everything you have done.
Goshnak.
And what is your gratitude? A few paltry bribes?
Steve.
Who's
They're
Steve?
not paltry. These are quality bribes.
I am at war. I need what is on that plane.
Of course, a percentage of.
All of it. It is mine.
The group hesitates, realizing how bad this is getting.
Maybe we should back up.
Maybe I leave you your plane, eh?
He shouts something to his men, who come forward and then stop, guns raised. Steve and the others turn to see. Diana is in the doorway, looks around her. Steve grimaces. Sully and Ben look as curious as Goshnak.
I said stay.
My God, that is a quality bribe.
Angle. Diana as she lowers herself, her bare foot heading for the dirt. Close on her foot, as it touches ground. The moment it does, Angle, the trees, blows suddenly with a whistling wind. Angle, the mountains, as the same effect ripples through the dense trees for as far as the eye can see. Angle, a sailboat on the ocean, suddenly puffed of sail. Angle, a city seen from ground level, as a piece of newspaper whips from the ground, arcing. Angle, a dark room where a figure, in close with his back to us, turns slightly, hearing something no one else can. The figure is hard to see, but clearly big, and not quite human. Angle, back on the airstrip, the argument continues.
Who is this? You said nothing of a girl.
Steve?
She's a friend. She's not staying here.
What are you doing here? Who are you?
What are you doing? These people have work to do. Why are you hindering them?
Diana, this is not...
All the goods on that plane are mine.
No, they're not.
Do you dare to question my authority?
Authority that cannot be questioned should look for a different name.
Goshnak pulls his pistol. aims it at Diana's chest. Steve tries to step between, but more soldiers cock their rifles.
All right, let's be cool.
Will you bring this whore to insult me?
What did you say?
Diana, shut up. You shut up. Nobody's insulting. You shut up and stay on the plane.
You call me a hooer.
A hooer.
To Goshnak.
Goshnak.
Oh, you said nobody's insulting me? Okay.
I should put you all down like rabid dogs.
It's going to be fine.
Diana moving towards Goshnak.
If you want to challenge me, then be man enough to.
He shoots her in the chest. She spins slightly with the force of it as everything else freezes, even Goshnak.
Even Goshnak?
She puts a hand to her chest, confused. Blood runs over her hand. She drops to her knees. Sully and Steve move to her, but the soldiers all cock and point.
Take the plane. Take everything. Please, just let us help her.
Diana is on her hands and knees, an unlovely gurgle in her breath.
That was unlovely. Yeah.
She pushes hard on the unseen wound. A few moments, and she wrenches her hand from her chest, rearing back onto her knees. In her bloody hand, she holds the bullet.
Ta-da!
She stares at it, standing shakily up. Goshnak backs off, step, freaked. She holds the bullet up to him, furious confusion in her eyes. She looks at Steve
Are you people insane?
and down she goes.
Face first.
Face first.
Exterior gateway, city, night. The first thing we see is the tower, Spearhead Technologies. Gleaming blackly in the night, the tower dwarfs everything around it, even the other massive downtown buildings, and does resemble the head of a spear. We arm down and the city rises up before us. Gateway City is massive, great, eclectic towers sitting on sloping hills. The poorer section is not unlike a rundown version of San Francisco's Chinatown, crumbling and unsafe, but with splashes of color and bohemian charm. The camera continues down through the street into an empty subway station, then even further down to interior tunnels under the city, night. It's big, dark, and decrepit. Old tracks run off into the darkness of unused tunnels. Ladders and sewer pipes run up from it. Stagnant water greens the walls. It is, in every sense, a low price. Climbing down a ladder is Jeff, an older homeless man, and a young woman, Ginny Wells, smartly but practically dressed.
People think it's just stories. That I'm trying to scare them. That I'm...
Hits his head.
It's not a working system. Not viable. But Ruiz knows about it. Ruiz has made his mark. That's
Go ahead. Never mind. He took off his hat.
Go.
That's Victor Ruiz, right? They said he left the shelter. I saw some of his work. He ain't here. Ain't been down here since he finished. There's none of us now. Even the rats are moving up. Guess that's what it wants. What? Who wants? You're not a reporter, are you? Yes, I told you that. That's why you brought me here. You have something to show me.
He leads her into the chamber, holding a hand to stop her.
Slow. You go down, it gets ya.
Quizzically, she looks down to see. Holes in the floor, eaten away metal, rusted beams, sheets of old wood, looking down to an even lower place. She steps carefully towards the wall. Jeff stands below. Then she pops a flare and holds it up. She stares. Drop back wide to see her before a half graffiti, half American primitive mural depicting a figure in armor on a horse stabbing a giant dragon. Behind them, towers crumble and burn. It's eerie and awkward and very beautiful.
St. George and the Dragon. This is just like the drawings. Why did he... Trains a-coming.
But Jeff just shakes his head and points down. Jenny stares at the holes beneath her feet as the rumbling grows louder. The space below grows lighter, but not from the harsh beams of a train. The light is red, flickering, and the space appears to be carved out of the earth. A moment and it roars beneath us, visibly only in flickers. Metal, yes, but with a mouthful of fire and an undulate, rippled body that shoots through the tunnel as fast as a train, screeching unlike anything.
My God!
The white, deformed face with the bright red teeth and the carved metal skull cap appears right next to hers, grinning horrifically.
Nil. Not yours.
She tries to scream, but he grabs her throat. We get a better look at the Strife now. He's big, muscled, metal bands around his arm, a black cape rippling in the wind from below. Helmet, or is that his head, of burnished silver.
You decide.
As we see him head to toe, we see what Ginny sees just then. Jeff's body hunched over, head lying a few feet away.
I'm a reporter. People know where I am. They'll be looking for me. Let them.
He pushes her away and she falls into the hole, screaming as whatever's passing underneath rips her unseen to bits. For a moment, Strife stands alone. He looks up at the mural, ignoring the grinding, and screams. Exterior tent, night. Near the runway is a cluster of tents, our base camp. Steve and Ben wait outside one tent.
She's not in the scene. It's fine. You need to be Griffin.
Okay,
Sully.
yeah,
Totally.
Griffin approaches.
And Ben.
Is she? No, wait.
Is she gonna make it?
Steve shrugs.
Sully kicked us out. Lot of blood.
Wait. Oh, wait.
Hilarity. All
Let's
right.
start with Griffin.
Sully kicked us out. Lot of blood.
That was Ben, sorry.
Right.
Where on the green earth did you find her, boss? I can't believe gosh neck. Who the hell shoots an unarmed, tasty-looking girl? Tasty-looking.
Tasty.
The same man who steals medicine from dying children.
The flap opens and Sully steps out. By the set of her jaw, we know she's not happy. Steve stands.
There's nothing more I can do.
What do you mean there's...
Diana strides out of the tent, passing them all without comment. Sully gestures. That's what I mean. Steve follows Diana as she heads briskly for the plane.
What are you doing up?
I was unconscious. How long?
About 6 hours. You shouldn't be...
6 hours? God.
Hey, stop.
She does.
Beep.
And he looks at her shoulder. There's a small scar there. By daybreak, there won't be.
You're healed.
Yes, after hours, it's degrading to be felled up by a tiny piece of metal. I didn't know something could hurt that much.
Well, welcome to the world.
She starts walking again.
I have to get started.
Doing what?
The supplies. Are they still on the plane?
They took him to camp. It's in the hills, about 2 miles up. What do you think you're gonna do?
Get them back.
As she almost reaches the plane, a guard steps out with his rifle pointed forward.
Guard.
Sorry. I was trying to tweet.
Guard.
Just like a
I
woman.
don't see it. Oh, no one goes near the...
Without breaking a stride, Diana grabs the barrel of the rifle and swings the guard behind her, keeping hold of the rifle as he goes flying 20 feet and lands with a thud. She examines the rifle as she ducks under the front of the plane. Steve still trailing.
So what? You're gonna go up there and kill all those guys?
I will kill a warrior on a battlefield. Nobody who hides behind one of these is a warrior.
She tosses it aside and hops into the plane. Steve is following her when he sees she's disrobing in the dark with her back to us.
Ooh.
So he hovers just outside.
Yeah, they're called soldiers, and there's about 30 of them, and they've all got hundreds of little pieces of metal that hurt a lot. And grenades and a whole combo platter of things you've never even heard of. So let's go to Plan B, in which you don't get yourself and the rest of us killed.
You won't be fighting.
That's not the point. You're gonna start a freaking firefight. These people are not... Diana, they shot you for talking.
She steps into the doorway as he moves back. He's at ground level, looking up at her. She's in the outfit.
I have no plans to talk.
Exterior hillside, night.
Fuck yeah.
The treetops pass below us as we sweep up the hill to see the camp nestled in a flat clearing. A big tent for the men. A makeshift metal shack for Goshnak. A couple of jeeps with machine gun mounts and a transport truck. Most everyone is asleep. with about 6 guys standing guard in the camp itself. Edge of the camp. Diana peers out of the woods. The truck is nearest, right by the slope down towards the wood. Beyond is the tent. To the left is Goshnak's shack.
Goshnak Shack.
Goshnak shack.
Goshnak Shack. Come on down to Goshnak Shack. Everyone get a beer. Burp, burp.
The jeeps are not visible from here, and only 4 of the 6 guards, 3 by the truck, 1 in front of the shack. She looks around the ground.
Goshnak Shack?
Goshnak.
Probably Goshnak shack.
Goshnak.
She looks around the ground. She picks up 2 stones that fit nicely in her palm. She tosses one high.
The 3 guards by the truck here are rustling as the stone lands in the brush beyond them. They move towards it. The guard by the shack watches them. The second stone nails him in the head, and he ragdolls to the ground soundlessly. The truck, as Diana leaps into the midst of the men, the truck is between us and them, but the camera inches under, watching feet going as Diana spins and kicks. One soldier hits the ground as the camera creeps under the undercarriage, and another hits the truck, makes it shake inches above our heads as we finally see the third come down with a boot on his throat. And the camera clears the undercarriage to look up at Diana standing over her combatants, extreme low angle, every inch a hero. Context. She looks over at the truck, the hill beyond, at the tent. Interior tent, exterior hillside, a bit later. We see some 20 soldiers inside, sleeping in cots in 2 rows. One nearest the flap hears noise, opens it to see the back of the truck. Nothing out of the ordinary. Angle by the cab stands Diana. She grips the back of the cab, plants her feet wide, and heaves, the truck rolling easily past her. The soldier is thrown as chains attached from the truck to the tent go taut right between his legs, coming up and nailing him just before the tent is pulled into him. The truck rolls down the hill, picking up speed, and the entire tent is coming with it, falling in on itself but still sliding along. Interior tent continuing. The men being thrown and battered, trying to get up or out, suddenly tripping. Exterior hillside, as the tent is pulled down the hill violently by the barreling truck. Diana breaks for the shack. Then
Goshnak Shack.
and the jeep with the remaining 2 soldiers lights her up with its high beams as it roars at her. Inside, one drives, while the other scrambles back for the mounted machine gun. Diana runs at it, onto the hood, and body slams the guy in the back right off.
We're all improvisers.
Instantly
Could
turning.
you tell?
Instantly turning and getting her shoulder under the gun while gripping the barrel. A moment's strain and it rips out of the moorings. Right?
Shink.
Out of its moorings.
Out of its
Yeah.
moorings.
Boring.
And she sledgehammers it onto the driver, crushing the whole windshield and most of his seat as he jellyfishes to the floor to avoid being crunched. That's right. Crunched, not crushed. The Jeep rolls away as she flips off it, right in front of the shack, but facing
Gosh,
the
that-
hill, where a few men are scrambling back up. Angle, Goshnak's gun. In his hand as the shack door flies open, sighted like a first-person shooter at Diana's back. 20 feet away, the finger squeezes and everything slows down. The noise of the bullet in the chamber alone and vibratingly loud. I missed it, know why. Diana also slowed down as she hears the now indelible sound, and momentary panic crosses her face. She starts to turn. The gun fires, and we speed back up as she completes the turn with her fist up, the bullet sparking off her bracelet. We hold on her look, slow burn anger with the sparking intensity of real fear, half hidden by the famous bracelet. A moment. Goshnak shoots again, and she moves her arm only slightly. She walks towards him, confident, confidence building as he repeatedly shoots, and she uses either arm, not just blocking the bullets, but whacking them away almost dismissively. Finally reaching him and grabbing the gun hand, wrenching the gun to the ground as she grabs his throat.
Stop shooting me!
The gun hits the ground.
Best Wonder Woman so far.
Stop shooting me! Oh,
No,
no.
I want to hear Nick's version.
yeah, that's fine.
Stop shooting me!
The gun hits the ground, and Diana. Are you guys just gonna talk over me every time I talk?
No.
Because I'm the only lady here. Is that what you're doing, Scott?
No, it's not because you're the only
The gun hits the ground, and Diana breaks her heel on it with enough force to break it.
Hey.
This land is
Your
not.
conch.
This land is not safe for you.
Oh, God.
The people here are under my protection, and if you even approach them, your death will be appalling. Remember that when you awake.
She headbutts him, her tiara ringing off his forehead like a blunted bell. She drops him to the ground. She turns to look at the few stragglers coming up the hill. They have nothing but submission in their eyes. Exterior refugee camp, night. We find our group amongst the refugees. Sully is treating the sick in a half-burnt-out building. Food has been distributed and people are sitting in little clusters eating. Diana walks among them, taking in their urgency. Angle, an old woman glares at Diana mistrustfully. Old woman?
Who are you?
Diana isn't sure how to respond. The woman scuttles back into the shadows. Diana looks around to see. A little boy is digging food out of a can with his fingers. A middle-aged man, maybe his father, looks through some empty cans. He sees the boy and yanks the food from him, starts greedily gulping it himself.
Yeah, starvation doesn't seem to make people nicer. It's weird.
How could the gods allow this?
Your gods are dead, Diana. World hasn't been theirs for a long, long while.
She looks at him. He almost says something conciliatory, but just turns away.
Man.
He walks off as Ben approaches.
Don't mind Steve. He doesn't like people very much.
He spends his life trying to help them.
Well, he's not very bright.
She smiles, falls into step with him through the camp.
Steve was Air Force. Flew some combat missions. Even got downed once. Spent 5 days fighting his way back to the border.
A soldier? I wouldn't have thought.
He doesn't talk about it much, but it gave him a healthy distrust of anyone with too much power.
Too much power!
Decided to drop something more productive than bombs. He knew Sully from way back. They schemed this up together.
Steve and Sully are mates?
Mates?
Do they mate? Or...
Sully would never put up with him. I don't believe Steve's seeing anyone right now. You're fucking kidding me.
Oh, well, that's of no import. To me, I don't care about that.
And what do you care about? Steve told us not to ask where you've come from. But may I ask where you're going? You got a plan?
To help.
Well, you're off to a pretty good start.
I need to know more. I need to see everything.
Then you should stick with us.
Where are you going?
Back home. When we're finished here, back to Gateway.
What is Gateway?
Exterior Spearhead Day. Just to cut in real quick. Bon, can you check end user to make sure that we're not like clipping or too loud? Thank you. Exterior Spearhead Day. Oh, somebody else want to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pushing in on the gleaming tower, the name Spearhead, emblazoned just below the top, which widens and then comes to a point. Spear-like.
Oh, he's checking end user. Callus voiceover?
Yeah, like a...
The greatest city in the world. The symbol of American ingenuity, prosperity, and cultural diversity.
Interior Callus's office. Looking out the window at the panorama of the city is Spearhead CEO, Arabella Callus. Very blonde, very patrician, unflappable, and icy smooth. Ooh.
Ooh, I see.
As lovely as she is untouchable.
Literally,
Hands off.
our gateway to the world.
She turns back and we see a meeting breaking up. A few executives and city councilmen, it's easy to tell the difference, am I right? Packing up their briefcases.
That's me, right? Yeah. I still believe all that. From up there, so do I. It's down on the street where it gets a little more confusing. Yes. Well, we deal in military technology. We know a little something about gray areas.
That's polite.
Spearhead's one of the city's biggest investors. We're not taking that lightly. We'll do our best to make these zoning issues work. No one's looking for shortcuts. Let's get it right. City's not going anywhere.
Everyone but Callus exits. As soon as the doors are shut, she moves to a painting behind her big desk, puts her hand on it. It glows briefly, and a tapestry behind her desk lifts, a giant steel door sliding down behind it. Interior, Spearhead War Room. A cross between a Wall Street trading bullpen and Houston ground control. This is where Spearhead monitors the world. There are screens with maps and satellite feeds, dozens of employees with headsets tracking troop movements, high-level government communications, even weather patterns. These employees don't wear suits. They wear black. Ooh. Callus strides through the room as various employees, or ops, come up to her.
Talks between Catliff and Bundu have broken. We're hearing that the generals nearly drew on each other's in the room. Make sure the interpreter gets his bonus, and keep our reps on point. I don't want a bullet fired. That wasn't bought from us.
He goes. A woman approaches. Callus never stops moving.
Weather patterns off the Carolina coast are getting about as hairy as predicted. Force 5 and it should get pretty far inland. The White House is tracking this too, so run a scenario in case there's a swift and efficient government response. Just kidding. Prep our insurance teams and make sure the news is written. It turns into a light drizzle and the TV will make it feel like the last days of Pompeii.
A third puts a piece of paper in her hand. She scans it.
What is this? I honestly don't know. It doesn't seem possible. Anything is possible, Danny. Get someone out there.
Damn it, Danny.
Danny. Fucking Danny.
Classic Danny.
One op with a name.
I want eyewitness. General Atukal wants to meet. We don't need to meet. Tell him if he wants our new bombers before the Pentagon even sees them, we get 12% markup of this country. I'm going to pray.
She exits into a dark room at the opposite end from where she entered. Papers still in her hand. Interior, prayer chamber. She goes down a few steps into a very different space, lit by torches, with a grotesque statue of Ares, god of war, suspended from the ceiling like the whale in the Museum of Natural History. We all know what that looks like. Beneath the statue is a pedestal with a bowl of fire. Callus goes to it, bowing her head and whispering reverentially. As she does, Strife materializes behind her. His power of teleportation involves the stone floor sort of bulging and forming amidst crackling energy, as though he's pushing his way through the earth. Stone becomes cape, and in just a second he is behind Callus, a great deal bigger than life.
You should be on your knees. Your uncle is not impressed by supplication, Strife. What about the reporter? She's dispatched. You were discreet, I can assume.
He glares at her. She turns to face him.
It matters, Strife. The eyes of the world cannot be on Gateway. Not right now. The world is one. One is silence, I know. There was a time when the god of war made war. You want war? You need armies. You need an acceptable level of poverty and ignorance. Despair, rage, religious fervor, and above all, fear. Come on, Strife. You like fear?
Come on,
Fear
Strife.
should be earned, not manufactured.
She heads down a hall opposite the war room. He falls into step with her as she hands him the paper she was given.
This should be a blood-curdling smile on your... This should put a blood-curdling smile on your face. Remember that feeling you had? Someone was coming?
He looks at the paper as she continues.
Albanian coast. Some woman took out an entire rebel brigade in just under 5 minutes. She left no dead? 0 casualties. Kind of unsportsmanlike, don't you think? Where is she now? You'll know when we do. We don't need any unknowns if today's test goes well. It will! The Chimera has hungered for this a long time.
They step into the silo, a large space we can tell by the echo in their voices. Oises. Metal, roundish by the technology, has an ancient organic edge to it. They stand on a walkway looking at something.
The Chimera's a machine. It doesn't hunger.
Hunger.
You profess to worship and you deny to master my master's magics? Your technologies. You profess to worship and you deny my master's magics?
Magic.
Your technologies will only take you so far, Miss Kalas.
Kalas.
The age of monsters is over. It is.
Over.
It really is.
It is. It really is.
As he says it, the camera pulls back to reveal the head of the Chimera. We see little more than a metal shape, the top of which resembles a cross between a lion's head and a massive rock drill. Clearly filling the entire silo, the thing writhes and spews fire. Maintenance machines arm out from the wall or crawl over it insect-like. Insect-like. We catch just this glimpse and exterior, above the city. It's day. We see Steve's plane as it flies directly over Spearhead Tower, heading for the airstrip outside of town. Interior plane. Diana sits next to Steve and looks out at the enormous panorama, brow furrowed.
So, what do you think?
It's
Overwhelmed. I'm just kidding.
So, what do you think?
I've had this crown on for like 5 minutes. I'm
Listening to a whole other scene.
Voices you did.
Good voices.
It's overwhelming.
Oh well, it's not too late to turn back.
Wow.
Griffin.
Pity shit is, Captain.
The surfer guy.
Is your tray table in the upright and locked position?
Just get us on the ground, man. We need sleep.
He slips back to the door, to the others.
You probably don't.
Sleep? I have to see the city. Just show me where we'll be staying, and I'll go from there.
It's the room service.
I'm not sure I like you wandering Gateway all by yourself.
I'll be fine.
No. I'm kind of afraid for the city.
Exterior, the city. It's a packed street, but Diana still stands out as she enters frame. She makes her way through the downtown business throng, looking at everything and everyone intently, more sociologist than sightseer. A burly guy bumps into her and spins off like he hit the corner of a wall. She doesn't even notice. He rubs his shoulder, glaring. Camera arms down as she approaches to show the enormity of the buildings above her. The lights are much brighter. She looks up at them too, but not in awe. As she continues through the city, we see various POVs, points of view, and tableaus, like a three-story toy store. You say that.
3-story toy store.
Story toy toy.
Whatever. A 3-story toy store.
Gashnak shock.
Goshnak Shack. Brought to you by Goshnak Shack and 3-story toy store.
With the Ferris with the Ferris wheel.
With the Ferris wheel inside. A homeless man pulling food out of trash can next.
That's one word.
Scott's
It's
having a
supposed to be
stroke.
A trash can next.
You got it.
I got this. You people ain't going anywhere, are you? Homeless man pulling food out of a trash can. It didn't put an article before trash can next to kids being hustled into a chauffeured Rolls, meaning Royce. A brightly lit facade advertising live nude girls. A barker outside beckoning. As Diana passes, someone shoves a flyer into her hand. She looks down at it and, appalled, looks around to give it back. Various outdoor food stands. Greek, Chinese,
Hey, you want a
Mexican.
sandwich?
A hooker in an outfit skimpier than Diana's.
Damn it.
It's the city during the day. Is this really happening? Anyway, a hooker in an outfit skimpier than Diana's, who stares at Diana, asking, "What does the hooker say, Dylan? What does she sound like?"
Oh, who you are supposed to be?
Very good. Exterior street. Close on Diana, looking in wonder and a little fear. Reverse to see her in front of a storefront bank of TVs. On the TVs is a news report, overseas war and atrocity. Bigger than life. As Diana steps back in a kind of hypnotized shock, we track back to see the TV display is monstrously huge. Dozens of screens, each image the same horror, replaced suddenly by the cheery bright gloss of a commercial. Diana steps back into the street, and a guy pulling out in a convertible zigs around her, calling out,
Watch it, stupid bitch!
without looking.
That's what
Where does Dylan and Guy end and begin? I don't know.
That wasn't a reach.
Typecast.
Without looking, Diana reaches back and grabs the side of the open convertible. Oh, shit. As she turns, she pulls it slowly back, its tires smoking as the driver tries to pull away. She holds the car in place and looks down at him.
What did you say?
Before he can answer, there's a cry of pain from across the street. Diana looks up at it. We see the angle of the alley opposite her, where a 14-year-old boy is having his arm twisted by a dealer.
It's all I got, I swear. You think you can hold out? Get yourself some nice shoes. Ow, no!
Diana lets go of the car.
Leave. I don't know what she got so weird.
Thank you, ma'am.
He guns it, and she starts across to the alley. The dealer continues to shake the kid, really hurting him now.
You think I don't got 50 kids waiting to take your spot? I didn't lift nothing.
It was like an Oliver Twist thing.
Now you call me a liar? You're hurting. Oh.
You're hurting that. You're hurting that child.
She's maybe 20 feet away, almost silhouetted by the light of the street.
Yeah, I'ma hurt you next. You get in my business.
Let go of him.
Or what?
She whips the lasso out and cuts his cheek in a dazzling flash. He's grabbing his cheek and stumbling back as it's already coiled at her hip. She approaches, passing the fleeing kid. The dealer pulls out a gun and starts firing at her. She deflects. She deflects 3 shots. The other one's just whizzed by her. Closing the distance and kicking the gun high in the air.
Understand something.
She catches the falling gun without taking her eyes off him.
I don't like these.
She tosses it aside, taking a step toward him. Angled at his feet, we see as they stumble back against the wall of the old building, and a rat scurries across the other way.
You got no right. I'm just protecting my interests.
What are you doing here?
I'm legitimate. You're aggressing me.
She whips the lasso around his neck.
What are you doing?
I'm just standing here minding my own crack dealing,
Oh my god.
and you are aggressing me. Oh, wait. No, I sell crack and guns. I also run whores sometimes. Or, no, I mean...
Bond, can we
that's what-
isolate this audio and cut it up to make sure we have him on tape going? I
That's
sell
what I mean.
crack.
That's what I mean.
There's others like you.
Are you kidding? There's hundreds. Gateway got a lot of needy people.
Who do you work for?
I pay up to Joy Gibb, but it's all makes its way to Clean. It's Clean's world, and he's gonna kill me if he finds out I said that.
Who is clean?
We angle down at his feet as more rats.
Not this guy. Because he does drugs.
Ah, that's right. As more rats, like dozens of rats, are scurrying up from the basement grating of the old building. Diana looks down at them as they mill about his dancing feet, squeaking up at her.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid now. I don't.
So are they.
Give me this. Interior Spearhead War Room. Moments later, Op 5 is watching a bank of video feeds while the war room bustles about. Callus watching over it all. Tech guy calls out.
45 seconds. Chimera's beat projections by more than a minute, and she's taking no internal damage. Green cross board. We got geologists, structural engineers, all camera ready. Building not code seismic tremor. They're well rehearsed. They better not sound it. Hell is that?
Callus moves towards him swiftly.
What's going on? Someone's on site.
Callus looks at a monitor that shows the lobby of the building Diana was outside. It's old and decrepit, with a few tired-looking folk hanging out in the lobby and a manager behind a counter. Diana is literally shoving people out of the building.
Everybody out now.
30 seconds.
Where is
Strife?
Interior building lobby continuing. Diana has a few bewildered people shying out the door. She moves to the manager.
Hey lady, you need to calm down and...
How many people are in here? We have to get them out.
Nobody's getting out of anything.
This building is coming down.
He looks at her, freaked, and she tosses him back against the wall in frustration, heads for the stairs. The room deafeningly groans, shuddering, and the floor sags visibly as a crack runs up the wall. The manager looks at Diana for a second, then smashes the fire alarm glass and pulls it, racing out of the building as the alarm blares and Diana heads up. Interior second floor. People are already coming out of apartments, whores, junkies, and some very poor families.
But especially
as Diana
whores.
is moving up.
Get out now. Move, whores.
The building shakes again, and she moves up the next flight. Third floor. More people, more frantic, moving frantically, and people from the top floor as well. Diana grabs
They're
a
not
man,
whores.
pulling his big screen TV out his door. She tosses him into the throng, sans TV, without the TV.
You have no time.
The building jolts and lurches, plaster smoking up the air. The staircase going down collapse. People scream. One woman is on the stairs, and Diana whips out the lasso, flicks it around the falling woman's wrist, and swings her to safety on the second floor. The people still on this floor, about 8 of them, look at her in terror.
Up, across the roof next to the building. Go.
They start to move, as, unseen in front of frame, the floor balloons up like a fever blister, and Strife begins to appear. They hustle up the stairs, and Diana sees this staircase start to give way as well. She jumps on the banister below, one leg out against the wall, just as the top of the staircase snaps loose and the entire thing starts to come down, and most of the people still on it. She shoots up her arm and holds it, straining to push it back up. She gets it close enough so the people can start going up. And a blow to the kidney nearly topples her. She can feel the stairs, and her precarious purchase against the wall starts to give. Looks around to see Strife, just as he lands a second blow.
You are getting in the way.
Still, she holds the stairs. Exterior roof. We see people racing out of the fire door and across to the other building, which is connected and easily reachable. Yeah, okay, they're not doing shit. The last person is stumbling up the stairs as Strife whips out a sword and comes at her from behind again. The moment the stairs are clear, she crouches down and hurls them behind her right on top of Strife. He smashes up through them just as she reaches him with a crippling punch of her own. They spar briefly. Then he grabs her wrist to block a blow and stares suddenly awed at her bracelets.
Oh, an Amazon?
The floor falls out from under them. Interior lobby. A 2-story plummet lands them back in the now tilted lobby, beams and debris falling all around them. They both roll right up facing each other, but too much stuff is collapsing for any fighting space.
Collapsing.
Strife? Is that what I said?
It's like
I'm collapsing.
collapsing. It's like a
Slow
jalopy.
collapsing.
It's a jalopy for collapse.
It's a slow clap.
It's a so cold.
You know, for how much I talk, I didn't realize how hard it was to read for so long. Strife dives at Diana, rolling with her so that they are both wrapped in his cloak, and the bubble effect comes suddenly, moving them from the collapsing lobby to exterior snowy mountain range. Day. They roll out and face each other again. Diana taking in the gleaming stillness, the total contrast to her previous environs. Strife has his sword out and the two of them move slightly, circling, warriors ever.
Do you know me? Do you know me, Amazon?
Every girl in the tribe hears tales about Strife. His strength is legendary. And clearly mere legend.
He smiles at the barb and comes in for a burst of violence. His blows parried, barely, by Diana. She gets in a decent hit. They part again, circling.
A little more fire in you than the others. Where do you get that?
From my mother.
Hippolyte?
No, it's Hippolyte.
Strife.
Hippolyte? The Amazon's princess? After all this time, I was there when they bound those bracelets and sucked out the Amazon's power. The shame of it. Your mother was right to run and hide.
Well, you know all about hiding, or is your name still feared in this new world?
That one doesn't get a smile. He comes at her hard and slices her, getting in a couple of nasty blows and tossing her back.
Stay out of my city, princess.
Am I?
You're well. You stay out of my city, princess.
And my line.
And my line. You're well off script now. And you're well out of your depth.
Am I?
There it is.
Believe me.
And she charges him this time, but he rolls her into another teleportation jump and tosses her back into the interior lobby. Just as the building's about to collapse completely, the noise and dust sudden and cacophonous.
You can't take the pressure.
He disappears. The building collapses on Diana. Interior Steve's bedroom, night. The room is tiny, dark, and quiet. Diana lays face down on the bed, naked, arm draped over the edge, a sheet loosely over her lower parts, as Steve gently sponges off her wounds.
Ooh.
You should let me call Sully.
I'll heal.
He picks a tiny piece of concrete out of her back. It hurts, but she doesn't show him that.
Tell me about Strife.
He's well named. Of all the god's children, he is the cruelest. His uncle, his master, is Ares.
Ares, god of war. As in war.
If the gods are dead, why is Strife here?
This is great. The city's infested with ancient Greeks. This Strife probably rolled in on the same tide brought you. That brought you. I'm sorry, that was
He
bad
brought
grammar. That's right. I'm the tide. I brought you. Why do we even... Anyway. Every action has a reaction.
But why, Gateway? He called it his city.
There's the old saying, you want to see the world? Go to Gateway and walk 10 blocks, dame. It's an old saying. This really is international hub of the country. Anybody with power's got a base here.
And you brought me straight to it.
Under protest.
Do you think it's all coincidence, truly? The signs are all around us. You don't think I'm here for a reason?
I think you're dangerous. I think... The Top Gun reference. I think you mean well, but you're looking for trouble and you're wildly adept at finding it. I think you've got delusions of grandeur and some actual grandeur, which is confusing. I don't like confusing. I hate the fact that I'm so attracted to you. Just touching you is overwhelming, and I keep hoping you'll turn around so I can see more of so I can see more of you naked.
He stops, even more confused than she is.
I'll be in the car.
His jaw sets and he reaches down, pulls the lasso out from under his butt. He was sitting on the lasso.
Did you like it?
She tries not to show her smile.
Can we not leave this lying around? There's a reason men don't like to talk about their feelings. Their feelings are lame.
I think they're
Jesus.
fascinating.
Men?
People, you were right about this
Oh.
city. Just one day here, I've already seen everything.
Not everything.
Such extraordinary achievements and such idiocy. And over the same people, the same look on people's faces.
How do we look?
Lost. Like somewhere inside you, all know this isn't good enough. Like somewhere inside you all know this isn't good enough. The selfishness, the
Just have some
inequity,
commas in here.
the violence. It's beneath you, but you've been in it so long you can't remember. The whole city. Steve, no one ever looks up.
And that, let me guess, is your mission.
She rises,
Our mission.
tying the sheet around her and going to the mirror in his tiny bathroom. She washes blood off her face as they talk.
I don't remember volunteering for anything.
You of all people know this is not how things should be, and Strife is proof of that. He has a mission. Never doubt it. If I stop him...
What if you can't?
Can't?
Right. Your favorite word. What if you lose?
As long as there's life in me, I don't quit.
Yeah. But I didn't say quit. I said lose. Any idiot can win. Doesn't mean jack till you've done the other thing.
Well, I can't do either till I start fighting.
This guy just pops up wherever he likes. How you gonna find him?
I'll do the one thing he can't abide. Give people something to look up to.
Montage! Fuck yeah, there's a montage! Wonder Woman montage! Everybody loves a montage! Ooh, Wonder Woman montage!
Oh, no, you
Itty bitty Wonder Woman montage! 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 Montage!
Yeah.
Montage!
Yeah.
3 thugs in a warehouse as they all look up in anger and fear, and one is yanked up out of frame by a golden lasso. Diana kicking a thug back 10 feet into a wall. Diana clotheslines a running thug who flips onto the floor. Interior warehouse, night. From above, we see crates of guns. Diana's in the middle of 4 thugs, all of whom draw on her simultaneously, close on her face as she readies herself. Diana's atop exterior street. Diana's atop the hood of a Humvee, one hand dug into the metal of the hood and the other arm outstretched. Her lasso is wrapped around a traffic light pole, widened to see she is holding it with all her might as the car screeches in a circle despite the driver's attempt to steer. The big vehicle tilts onto 2 wheels before it smashes into a parked car. Diana flying off, flipping in air and landing on her feet. Exterior, same later. Diana has a rope around one of the passengers and he's talking. Ben is taking notes as Steve and Griffin marvel at the many packs of white powder spilling out of the Humvee's back. Close on Ben's pad. The name Clean is being written at the top. Interior dark cellar, day. A group of young Asian women huddled in squalor look up as the roof of the cellar is torn off and sunlight streams in. Diana tosses the sheet of metal away. A roped trafficker looking glumly in. Interior Steve's workplace, day. Sully is treating some of the women as more are being ushered in. The space is an old-fashioned bullpen offices with no ceiling and a bigger space. The camera arms up to see the big room beyond and sleeping a number of homeless people. In one office, Steve and Diana discuss their chalkboard diagram of crime, at the top of which is again clean.
Clean.
Interior apartment, day. A hostage taker is on the phone yelling. Behind him are his terrified wife and children tied and gagged. Exterior apartment, continuing. Low angle on the negotiator talking the guy down, and above him, Diana leaps from the roof opposite to the top of the building. A couple of people see and everyone starts to crane around to look. When the hostage taker comes flying out of the 4th-story window and lands heavily on the fire escape. Exterior street. We're behind a fire truck racing to the scene. As it turns the corner, we see the scene is another collapsed building. Exterior building. Why are you doing a crying baby?
Oh.
I'm just kidding. Firemen rush to a pile of rubble, and the rubble lifts, Diana holding up an entire ceiling as dust-covered people scrambled hurriedly out to safety. Is that for the scene?
Perfect timing. It's dusty.
Interior warehouse. And here finally is the second half of the flight, when all the guns light up and Diana turns whirling dervish, deflecting every single shot with astonishing fluidity. Within 10 seconds, she has every shooter on the floor. Moments later, one of the same thugs tries to crawl away, and the golden rope whips around his midsection.
No.
Exterior street, dawn. Diana comes around a corner in a rundown but residential neighborhood. She looks at the sun peeking over the roof, takes a breath. A cute little girl of 10 stands nearby at the bottom of a gnarled tree. She calls out,
Lady,
points up.
my cat is stuck up in that tree.
Diana looks up, sees the cat on a branch, looks back at the girl with dismissive incomprehension.
Climb it!
A TV with a newscaster on it, a middle-aged female with a picture of the building collapse aftermath, and the words Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman? Question mark over it.
Reports have come in from all over the city. Descriptions vary, but all describe her as female and possibly strong and scantily clad.
We are pulling back on the TV as they cut to the two shots with the male newscaster.
So what do you think? Publicity stunt?
Probably. The last time I checked, heroes didn't run around in bustiers.
During this, it cuts to a blurry video image of Diana at the fire, which freezes, and a spear destroys the TV image. Interior Kala's office. Widen to see Strife holding the other end of the spear. Kala sitting at her desk calmly. A long beat.
Sorry.
He pulls the spear out.
I understand exactly how you feel.
Then let me put this through something besides a picture.
You want to go to war with the entire Amazon nation? Well, right, of course you do. But it would seriously crimp our plans.
Does she not anyway?
Oh, yes, that's why I'm sending you back home. There's something there we need.
I'm to run errands now.
Oh, no, this is a dream for you. If your uncle tells you you can't kill the girl, there should only be one question in your mind. What, for an Amazon, is worse than death?
A beat, and then a close-up of Strife's appalling grin. Exterior, a club night. Maybe even a nightclub. The club is classic trendy. People lined up behind a velvet rope, all trying to get the attention of the bouncer. A huge guy with a headset, a clipboard, and patience for nobody. Our gang is on the street approaching it.
Nearly every trail I've followed leads to this man, Clean. This is where he's to be found.
Magic lasso confessions hold up in court.
I just know I was meant to come here.
Oh yeah, you been reading the signs again?
Just the one.
The camera pans up from them to this club sign, Olympus. Steve shakes his head, defeated. Diana moves past a waiting girl who becomes indignant, putting her hand on Diana's arm.
Excuse me, who are you?
Diana looks at her for a second, and the girl drops her arm. They reach the bouncer, who
Wonder
steps
Woman.
in Diana's way.
Ho, ho, hold on.
We're going inside.
Not until I say you are, and I ain't saying it. You wait around an hour, I might take pity 'cause you're fine, but this crew ain't gonna happen.
I haven't time for this. I'm
Doesn't matter who you are, I'm the bouncer, bitch. And the first rule of clubbing is you never piss off the bouncer, bitch.
Interior just inside the door. A bit later, Diana strides into the club, brow furrowed, Steve beside.
I don't get it.
What?
He didn't bounce.
Oh my god.
Good night, everybody. That's it. That's the end of the script.
Exterior Olympus continuing. Also, that whole montage. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
jeez. That was a great montage, though.
Exterior Olympus. We see the bouncer unconscious against the cracked windshield of a car. Griffin has his headset and clipboard.
Okay, guy from the burbs desperately trying to impress his date. You, yeah, get on in. T-shirt guy, you two.
Two thin supermodel types come up to him.
Go eat something. Go to Arby's. Get some protein. Get some protein. You frighten me.
Interior Olympus continuing. It's crowded and loud. The dance floor is big, packed with a low mirrored ceiling above it. Diana and the other three come to the bar, look around. Clean isn't hard to spot. His booth is the boothiest. What is...
That's a
boothiest booth.
That's a Whedon term if I ever heard it.
Boothiest.
Okay,
It's
let me
the
start that over.
boothiest.
Clean isn't hard to spot. His booth is the boothiest. His posse is the scariest. His life is the largest. He's every inch the thug made good. A girlfriend is draped over him, clearly high. Back on our gang, scoping him out.
Clean. I don't think that's his real name.
Only 4 party cards. He can't be so dangerous as all that.
This has to be surgical, Diana. Those guys start shooting, the stampede alone will kill people.
Diana is looking at Clean with deadly focus. She moves through the crowd.
Diana, did you? Damn it! Get near the exit.
Diana comes to the edge of Clean's little enclave. A bodyguard starts to move in her way, and she jabs him hard in the shoulder, causing him to keel over in silent agony. The other three pull their guns, but keep them pointed down.
I guess you want to see me?
He throws the girlfriend off and stands.
Yeah.
Diana says nothing, just looks at him.
I keep hearing my product's getting jacked by some crazy strong bitch in a tiara. That couldn't be you, because here you are, too scared to speak. It's sad. The way a funeral's sad, you up in my world now.
The girlfriend slinks up him.
What are you talking here? I need a little sugar. Get your skank ass off of me. That's what I was saying.
Who says skink ass?
Skank ass. Clean does, man. He killed it.
No one said it after him, that's for darn sure.
Get your skank ass off of me while I'm doing business. Honey.
You can do better.
The girl looks at Diana, surprised. Clean is not pleased. Hand slides to his gun.
What'd you say to her?
I was talking to you.
He looks uncertain, and she begins speaking, low, quick, hypnotic.
This isn't your world. What if this did you create? Someone else told you how to succeed, what to want, what to wear, who to kill, who to be. And you made it because you're tougher than the other man. You're smarter than the other man. Getting the edge, making the edge, defying everybody's law to become exactly what they want you to be. There was a you before you, and there'll be a you to kill you off. That bothers you, not because you're afraid of death, but because you are smarter. Smart enough to see past all this and know that real power is in connection, in community. Immortality is in legacy. You know the things you truly need are not the things you buy or take. You can do better. You can do good.
A beat. Clean looks genuinely furious.
You got no understanding at all.
He gets in her face. A beat.
Go have yourself a drink. You mess around with my business or make any more long-ass speeches in my face. I'ma riddle you with holes. We cool?
She turns and walks away, Steve trailing. Clean sits as he talks to his boys.
Girl likes the sound of her voice.
No.
Walk it off, man. Walk it off.
Angle down to see Steve and Diana arrive back at the bar, where Griffin has joined the others.
That's it? The crime lord of whole everything. He gets a pep talk?
I thought we were trying to avoid gunplay.
But a little lasso action. This guy's probably connected to Strife.
I have a feeling about him.
This is why I can't leave you alone. You dress that guy down in front of his crew, and it doesn't go your way?
The signs don't point to Clean.
Then what are we doing here?
Well, I'm celebrating, people. We've been doing some big-ass good, and we earned a little swagger. That we did.
That we did.
That we did.
That's what we did.
That we did.
Oh, I thought
Oh, that we did.
Oh, I thought we heard. The bartender comes up to them with a small glass of red wine.
For the lady?
Is that from Clean?
It's from upstairs.
Don't drink that.
Diana looks over where the bartender indicates the stairs. They're roped off. The guy quietly turning away a hip young couple. Wonder what they look like. Diana takes the glass, looks at it, takes a sip, and drains the entire thing. Damn. Puts it down, looking thoughtful.
I have to dance.
Oh, God.
Montage! No. Without another word, she moves from them, walks easily through the crowded dance floor.
Oh, shit.
He's gonna-
You're gonna dance with her, man.
Me?
You can nudge if you want to.
What? What?
Why
Why
would
would
I? You'll do that. He turns to the bar, deliberately not looking. Diana reaches the middle of the floor. She raises her arm and holds still. Turns her palm in and brings her arm down with ritualistic rigidity. Ritualistic rigidity. This could go very badly. Then she moves her leg back and turns, fluidly, a curve rippling up her body as she folds into a dance that is sensual, ethereal, and wicked sexy, y'all.
Wicked sexy.
Wicked sexy.
Wicked sexy.
Wicked sexy.
Wicked sexy.
That's
Now you try.
That's wicked
Good.
sexy.
This is not a warrior march, though it remains idiosyncratic. It is neither out of place nor unnoticed on the crowded floor. We angle to Griffin and Ben, watch enraptured.
Are you watching this? It's like Christmas.
They all have doopy voice.
But I'm Jewish. Whoa. Angled to see Steve's hands at the bar. What is his hands doing? But his eyes are on the mirror, where he can see her just as well as anyone. He would never admit he's entranced. Angled to Diana from above as she dances, the camera tilting down to reveal that it was on the mirrored ceiling, and we are actually at eye level with her as she continues to move. The beat gets fiercer, and so does Diana. Shaking and tossing her hair, a Euro trashy guy moves to her, but she turns unseeing. A Rasta guy nudges out Euro, and what does he sound like there, Dylan?
Hey, hey.
And what you doing with
Yeah. Who grabs him, and as the dance gets more frantic, Rasta gives Euro a shove. Sends
my way.
sends him flying, but slowly, everything is moving slowly. Diana stops. Everyone, save her, is slowing to a dead stop, some in midair, and everywhere there is a strange silence. Diana looks around, and she sees the stairs. As the intimidating club guy is looking right at her, he unhooks the rope. Shink. Stepping to one side, Diana makes her way toward him, curious, as the camera follows through the stilled throng till Diana reaches the stairs, passing the club worker who puts the rope back, and the rope latches back, and real time starts again, everything continuing as it was. Interior green room, moments later. Diana enters a huge, lush, but quirky private room, colorful and retro like its occupant, who stands with his back to her at the bar, mixing a drink. As she crosses toward him, the camera rises to show that the floor is the other side of the one-way mirror on the dance floor ceiling. Diana almost appears to be in midair as she walks over the writhing crowd.
I like that you knew you needed to dance for me. And it was worthy. I mean, for a girl who's never seen Soul Train even once, you can bend a bit. It's pleasing to me, but not nearly as pleasing as the way you handled a clean. Fingers on triggers and you throw down with a badass motivational speech. Not gonna do squat, but heavy kudos. It gets surprises. It gets surprises really hard to come by.
He turns, holding a drink with an umbrella. He's funky, unassuming, cute in a sheepish kind of way. For all the goof, though, there's a steel in his smile. The guy's a god.
And you were a surprise.
Dionysus.
Bacchus, the Romans. They came and changed all our names. How random is that?
Jesus.
A lot of the gods wouldn't go for it. But I like Bacchus. It swings.
I was told the gods were dead.
Yeah, well, most of them are.
Athena?
Deader than Elvis.
We're in a club right now, right?
Yeah, like a back room sort of.
Okay, all right.
Who's a guy that's dead after your time? A god exists because people believe in it. Worship is a thing. Goddess of wisdom, not hanging in, not today. But nobody ever stops worshipping wine.
Oh, war!
Ares, yeah. It's his world now. I mean, Aphrodite's still looking good, but not for publication. I think she's had some work done. Also, she's out of her mind.
This whole world is mad.
You're not wrong, girl.
Say girl.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And you do nothing. Worse, I've seen what you provide to the people out there, and it's a good lot stronger than wine. They're crippled by lust and addictions, and you use all your power to do what? Watch and laugh?
You're a feisty little filly. Let me ask you this.
He picks her up with one hand and slams her onto the bar. Doesn't even spill his drink.
Are you a god? 'Cause I am, and I'm used to being addressed like one.
What? Why am I here?
He lets her up.
Ares, he's not playing by the rules.
He strolls away as she rises, coughing. He's casual again.
What rules does a god have?
Why does nobody get this? I'm a god, yeah, but I'm also only a god. Wine and revelry, it could bring men together or tear them apart. I can't choose which. Humans choose. More and more they choose blindness. They choose hate and isolation. It's major mojo for Ares, and he wants more where that came from.
There is war everywhere. Why would Ares need more?
Why do billionaires cheat on their taxes?
He gives her a shrug. It's answer enough.
And you can't stop him because it's against the rules?
Back in the day, Zeus wanted to manifest in an animal form for some hot girl on swan action. It wasn't that big a deal. It's trickier now. I come down to party, but that's it. Ares doesn't come at all.
But he has Strife.
Heard you two been mixing it up. Pretty intense. Guy's not a featherweight.
Then where is he? Why doesn't he challenge me?
Is that what your little crime-busting spree is all about? Riling Strife? You gotta be thinking bigger than that.
Tell me what brought you here. To tell me. Tell me why. Tell me why I'm here. Tell me what you brought me to. Tell me the things that you wanted to say to me. Why am I here? What did you want to say to me?
What was that?
What?
You are so much like your mom. Have you heard the name Spearhead? You've seen the building, tall, shaped like some guy seriously overcompensating. Well, that's Ares' base. Technology, which means weapons. The best and latest, and that's just their day job. Their mission is misery. Ares is stepping over the line, and I think Gateway's gonna be his footprint.
Why do you care?
I lost New Orleans. Think about that. Besides, I like this place.
Katrina reference?
Ooh.
Oh, 2006.
Eesh. Fuck, man.
Besides, I like this place, just like you do. It's lively.
I don't have a... Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Spearhead. What am I looking for?
Arabella Callis. She runs the joint. Direct conduit to Ares. She's like Medea without the maternal warmth. You want to get near her. Might need a more subtle look. Your boyfriend can help you with that.
I don't have a who?
The pilot. Trevor. Don't even bother, Diana. What's happening between you two isn't chance. It was predicted by the oracles millennia ago.
It was?
No,
Is that a character
that was a
choice?
snort.
No, it was in there. Yeah, snorts.
Oh, okay.
That's accurate.
No. But check out your face when I said it. There's something going on.
He's a good man.
He's beneath you.
She stiffens at the insult.
No, I mean literally. He's there.
He points down and she looks. Angle, we see Steve seen from above through the floor, searching through the crowd for her.
I like the guy. Kinda crabby, but he's in there. He's fighting. Could be useful, or he could seriously get in the way.
She looks up at Bacchus. Bacchus? He's clearly serious now.
War has casualties. Gotta know what you're willing to trade.
A moment.
Thanks for the drink.
She goes as the camera pulls away from Bacchus.
Wasn't that cool? I'm working on another one that makes everything intensely sort of plaid. I'll hook you up.
Exterior Spearhead, afternoon. The building towers over us with gleaming phallic grandeur. Of course it does. The head of security approaches a guard as another talks with people inside a car.
Oh, jeez.
Where am I?
Head of security.
Head of security.
I thought I had it. Oh, here it is. Okay. We do a retinol on every guest, no exceptions. They're really beefing it up. Well, that's not your business. Sir.
The head of security fades back in front of the bushes, watching the road. A golden rope whips out of the bushes and around his waist. He's pulled back and faster than he can blink. He hits the ground. The lasso's still around his chest. He goes for his gun, but Diana shoves him back to the ground.
Ha! We need some access codes.
Interior, Spearhead hallway, day.
Camera.
The camera pans up a pair of high heels, tight skirt. Tightly buttoned professional woman with her hair tied back and round glasses on. It's a classic look. In fact, it's a Diana Prince next to a Natalie suited Steve. They come out of the elevator at the executive level, head for Callus's office.
Gotta warn mixed weapons. Talk about hide in plain sight.
Why should he hide? Nobody bothers to look.
Well, we're looking. And we're just looking, okay? Remember when you found clean and just had a chat? That was good. Let's chase that feeling.
I won't fight unless it's time to.
Right.
Interior assistant's office, moments later. He's young and square-jawed, a comer. He looks up as they enter.
What's a comer?
We'll find out.
Hi. Steve Trevor and Diana. Prince.
I'm sorry.
I think we're early. If I could just get a water, that'd be great. Still.
Sure. Just let me check my book.
He reaches under the drawer. Diana grabs his head and smacks it down on the desk brutally fast. He's out.
Ah, shit. My water thing was working.
He was going to call the guards. Oh.
She pulls a gun with a silencer out from under the drawer.
I was wrong.
Interior, Callus's office.
First time a woman's ever said that, am I right, guys?
It's on paper.
Yeah,
Good
it's in the
thing.
script. Interior, Callus office, moments later. As the doors smash open, Diana and Steve behind them. Reverse on Callus, sitting calmly at her desk.
Well, that's a bit much.
Diana whips her lasso out around Callus's neck. Callus looks down at it calmly.
Let's talk.
And hands where we can see them. Please.
Weaved by the... That was the crackles. Weaved by the oracles at Delphi, blessed by Athena. Am I right?
So you do serve Ares.
Oh, yes. Why? Does it work if I asked stuff?
His power is practically limitless, and he has chosen me to run his empire on Earth. Do you think that what that makes me? Do you know what that makes me?
The bad guy?
What are you planning to do to Gateway?
Destroy it.
Her calm shakes Diana a little. There is real vulnerability to the question.
Why?
Because we can. People get above themselves, and they need to be reminded how fragile they are. All the wars and all the weapons that we can manufacture will never be as blessed as mass, mindless fear. Gateway will be the first of many great cities to collapse, and we will enter a golden age of fear and apathy, and everybody in the world will do as they're told.
She has them wrapped, and she knows it. She smiles.
Plus, it'll really help out with some zoning issues.
Oh, come
Waka waka!
How? are you gonna do it?
You should have asked that first. Now I'm all about zoning issues.
Diana dives into Steve, knocking him to the ground as gunfire erupts from behind them. 6 heavily, almost science fictionally, armed guards are taking positions just outside the room. Callus stands free of the lasso.
You could have been quicker.
A guard starts into the room and Diana kicks the door from the floor, swinging it into his face with riot mask shattering force. She leaps up and grabs Callus, holds the rope to her throat.
Is there another way out?
Callus puts her hand on the painting, and the tapestry rises. The steel door lowers behind them. Diana kicks the desk so hard it goes through the doorway and part off the wall, knocking down a couple more shooters.
Go!
He races into the war room. Gunfire makes Diana let go of Callus, who pitches forward as Diana follows Steve out. Interior, Spearhead, war room, continuing. Diana and Steve race through the other side, to the other side. Everyone stares at them stupidly. Till gunfire makes everyone in the room duck and cover. A burst nearly gets them. Diana deflects, but they're forced to take cover behind a console. Diana grabs a couple of computer disks and whips them at the guards. One cracks a faceplate, one digs into a forearm, and 2 guards are out of the game.
Now!
He runs low. She follows, deflecting a couple of shots, and a tech guy bolts from his hiding place, freaking, colliding with Diana. The guards fire indiscriminately. Close on the tech guy as he jolts with 3 impacts. Looking at Diana in bewildered pain, he drapes himself on her as she stumbles back, thrown. He dies, staring at her. Steve pulls her out of the door to the prayer chamber as she looks up at the guards in rage, deflecting the last few shots almost automatically. Interior, prayer chamber, continuing. The hanging statue of Ares looms over them as they enter. Steve is looking for a way to bar the door.
This thing doesn't lock.
And a still stunned Diana looks up into the grotesque eyes of the still hanging Ares statue right above her. She whips her rope around its middle and heaves, bringing the thing down onto the floor. She pushes it against the door, its marble head smashing into dust as it hits. We hear thuds and shots from the other side, but the door isn't budging now. Interior, the silo continuing. The silo is empty, and Steve nearly plummets over the railingless edge. The drop seems endless. There are walkways at various levels, but no stairs. All above them, various machines come to life. Designed for repair, welding, and bolting, most of them attached to the walls. They reach out and start firing bolts, lasers, and some insectile repair bots crawl menacing down at them from above, wielding saws and pinchers.
What the hell is this place?
Hold on to me.
He grabs her in around the waist and shoulder, leaving her arms free.
Oh, I hate this a lot.
They step off the edge and plummet down the seemingly endless shaft. At the last second, Diana whips out her lasso and hooks it onto the lowest platform. They swing into the wall, Diana taking the brunt of the impact. Steve is jarred loose, and they grab each other's hands, swinging precariously. 20 feet below them, the black hole suddenly starts to iris closed, giant sheets of gleaming metal sliding out of the wall.
Get ready.
She swings Steve and drops him. He rolls and slides along the moving metal, dropping into the hole. Diana pulls the lasso free and lands on her feet. Does a swimmer's dive headfirst into the hole, a microsecond before it closes completely. Interior, bottom of the shaft, continuing.
Shaft.
Diana falls another 20 feet before she hits metal. The huge, nearly pitch-black shaft is curving, and she slides headfirst down it, a breakneck speed till it levels out, and then she collides with a standing Steve. They right themselves.
We gotta keep moving.
They dwindle down the endless dark tunnel. No one follows. Interior tunnel under the city, continuing. It's the same chamber the reporter died in. Diana jumps up, pulls Steve after her. He's exhausted.
This must go up to the subway. Or a sewer.
She is wrapped. He turns, following her gaze, and the camera comes around to frame the two of them in front of the mural, the armored figure on horseback fighting the dragon. She actually reaches out to touch it.
It's St. George. He fought a dragon.
And the dragon had 2 heads?
I wasn't there.
Dun!
The chimera. Head of a lion, body of a serpent, head of a ram. And an engine of destruction. Run through the Bellerophon. This is what Bacchus sent me to find. I have to fight this.
A dragon?
That giant room, the tunnels. See the buildings coming down? The chimera is here. It's already working. This was left for me. It's the sign.
It's not a sign. It's graffiti. Technically, it's vandalism.
She turns on him, genuinely pissed.
What is wrong with you? Why do you still deny what is right before your eyes?
What's wrong with me? By the way, Diana, how was your day? Anything special happen?
She stops, steaming, her voice lower.
Like a woman.
His own people shot him. I didn't think they would do that.
Of course they would do that.
If I could have saved him.
How many more people are you gonna wish you could have saved? You look at this, you see dragons. I see buildings coming down. And the people in those buildings die.
They're already dying. I'm trying to keep it from getting worse.
And it never occurred to you that you're the reason it's getting worse? You stand up, call yourself a hero. The uglies are gonna have to bring you down. There's an old saying, when elephants fight, the mice get trampled. Uglies.
Ugly.
Uglies.
Sound like Red Fox.
So I should what? Putter around in my plane, bringing help to 1 of 1,000 needy people? That's a life's work?
I used to think so.
So this is why you're so bitter. Because I
Again, this is not the time to talk about my feelings, Diana.
It's because I make you feel small.
Well, we're all small compared to you. From up there, we probably all look like ants.
I thought you were mice.
We're human beings, Diana. And that's something you will never understand.
Your people have lost their way. The world crumbles and they do nothing. They need a hero to show them what they can.
Yes, we need a hero. Not a demigod sent from on high to lecture us about potential. We need someone with no advantage, no hope, who's still out there trying. A hero doesn't decide ever to be a hero. They're forced into it, and they step up, and then they will live with the consequences.
He's in her face, seething with conviction, and she is shaken.
You'll make your show, fight your fight, and people will love you for it. And then they'll need you for it, and it'll start to grate, to bore you, and one day you'll just go back home to paradise. Because every day you wake up knowing you can just go back to paradise. You're not a hero, Diana. You're a fucking tourist.
And he is slammed to the floor by Strife. Diana stepping back, startled as Strife has Steve down,
I was going to talk.
Oh,
I haven't talked for like
You talk.
5
Yeah.
pages.
and he is slammed to the floor by Strife. Diana stepping back, startled as Strife has Steve down and a sword to his throat. He looks up at Diana.
I was in position 3 minutes ago. I just had to let him finish.
She whips her lasso around his blade, and he instantly yanks the blade away, pulling her off her feet, so she uses her momentum to knock him off Steve. They roll, come up, she goes for him, but he's fresher and has a sword.
Aha!
As he hacks at her, her barely deflecting her with her bracelets.
So this is a sign, is it? A portent just for you. Your arrogance is a delight.
Steve hits Strife on the back of the head with a 2x4.
Oh.
It splinters. Strife turns, and Diana lassos his arms to his side, and pile drives her elbow into his face, sending him flying as she calls out,
Get out! Go!
Steve hesitates. Diana looks, and Strife stands. He slices through the lasso with his blade. The glow comes off it as it falls limply to the ground. He holds his blade up.
Forged
Forged?
by.
Dude.
No. This is his big scene.
Forged by Vulcan.
And
Disapparates?
disapparates, reappearing behind Steve with the blade at his throat. Diana tenses up.
Please don't mistake this for a standoff. His head is severed. More than my life or anything after I want his head. One thing saves him.
He holds out his free hand in a fist, loosens it, and from it drops a small chain. Just 6 links, old burnished metal.
Do you recognize this? Maybe you're too young.
I know what it is.
The chain that bound the first Amazons. The chain that took their power.
The chain moves in his hand, twitching slightly. Steve sees the pain on Diana's face.
Submit to my will, and I won't kill him.
Diana hesitates. Steve can barely hiss.
Oh, I'm barely hissing. Take him out.
She looks at him.
A true Amazon would never even have hesitated. Your decision is made. Now say it.
No.
Yes,
Yes?
I submit.
Do it!
Slowly, she gets on her knees,
Jesus Christ.
holds out her 2 hands. The chain rises, twitching like a snake, pointed at her, straining at her.
I submit
The chain
to the
shoots.
patriarchy.
No kidding.
The chain shoots out of Strife's grasp and attaches to her bands. We pan up from her hands to her face, and there is color drained from it. Not just ashen shame. She looks less vital, less alive.
If your mother could see you now.
Diana looks at herself, at her chains, at her torn and tawdry outfit. Strife throws Steve violently to the ground, and he strides to her. He descends on her, cloak billowing. Then they are gone. Steve looks, breathing hard, at nothing. Angle, for a moment, we are inside Strife's teleporting experience, and it's unreal and agonizing. Diana stretched and deafened, and then we're external jungle day. The two appear on a hilltop in the deepest South American jungle. Beyond it is more jungle and more beyond that.
Beautiful. Do you think I come here when I want to be alone?
His touch is almost invasive as he feels her weakened body.
And you are so alone.
He clutches her head.
These slackened muscles, slow reason. You want to die of shame, but you'll do anything to live. They always do. Humans. So live for as long as you can.
He tosses her back hard and she falls, hits her head on a rock with a crack. Blackout.
Switch. Whatever you want. In the jungle.
Exterior jungle, night. Thunder is what snaps her eyes open. It seems like it was bright a second ago, and now it's dark, black all around. She lies a moment, breathing hard, listening. Wind mixes with the sound of animals in the brush, but she can't distinguish, can't place it. She's experiencing these sounds in a human way, as cacophony, and she goes a little wild-eyed at it. She rolls over onto her stomach, and there is a snake, a big one, eyeing her. It hisses, and she looks at it with fearful incomprehension.
I can't understand.
It strikes at her, and she scrambles back, getting to her feet. Rain starts to pepper the ground as she makes her way blindly forward, unseeing, unsure, on her weak human legs. In moments, the rain is a torrent. Diana continues moving, loses her footing, and slides down a ways.
Whoa!
It's not a romancing the stone funhouse slide. It's awkward, made more so by her chained wrists, and ends with rocks. Diana cries out in pain.
No!
She gets unsteadily to her feet and stumbles to the bottom of a tree where there is slightly less rain. She is at this point as muddy and disheveled as if she'd been out there for a week. Her lips are white and shaking. Interior Steve's workplace night. Steve and the gang sit alone in the big room. Griffin paces as Sully tends to Steve's cuts.
We have to do something for the city with Diana gone. Don't talk like she's dead.
Irish.
She's not here. Spearhead is. And their targeted gateway. So they got a weapon of mass dragoness. Or we don't even know. It's ruining the bestest ever plan. What about the city? They can come too, man. There has to be some way we can expose Spearhead. On what? The news that they own? Strife. He struts about. Steve, you said he was an arrogant monster. Could we draw him out somehow? What was that one? What did he sound like? That's the last thing we want to do. Strife just got the most powerful woman in the world to kneel before him. What do you think he'd do to the likes of us?
He didn't get her to kneel.
He can't even look at them.
I did.
Exterior jungle day. We start on her feet, which are pretty torn up by now. The rest of her's not much better, as she doggedly makes her way uphill. She comes to a crest to get a view of what's on the other side. The camera follows her, and what's on the other side is more of the same, a blanket of trees that spreads out forever. She squares her jaw against her disappointment. Starts making her way down the other side. Exterior jungle day. We see a bunch of mangoes atop a tree. Hear efforts from below frame. Tilt down to see Diana trying vainly to climb up and get some. Hey. She's making a decent effort. She is, after all, athletic. But she's chained, and she's got no purchase. She shimmies up, then slides painfully back down, finally letting go and dropping on her feet. Exterior, same, a bit later. She's got a long branch, is trying to scrape them off, and does. One plump mango dropping off and landing, and rolling away.
Like
As
Castaway.
Diana drops the stick and scrambles after it, and it rolls into a stream. She splashes in, chases it for a few feet, and goes down on a caught ankle, her cry of pain telling us she's twisted it at its best.
It's twisted at its best.
She gingerly pulls her leg free as the fruit drifts quickly away. Dusk. Diana's coughing is harsh and intense, doubling her over. When it subsides, she looks up, regaining her equilibrium. She is sweaty as she is pallid. She's using a crutch. She looks up for a moment, and we are in her point of view. The surroundings are blurred at the edges, sounds eerily detached. She shakes her head to clear her vision, gets another view of the landscape, and sees a line of smoke coming from far away uphill. She changes direction, picking up her pace as best she can. Exterior Steve's workplace, morning. Through the window, we see the gang still talking. Griffin is bringing in coffee. Sully, yawning in the morning light, pulls back to see a young gangster looking in at them. He crosses the street as a limo pulls up. The window comes down to reveal Clean.
Yeah. They're all there. 4 of them, same as at the club. No Wonder Woman, huh? Not for a while. I think that's what they're talking about. If the strong lady's out of the game, then it's my turn to play. Yeah, I'm gonna do real good.
Exterior jungle day. Diana is trying to make her way uphill. She looks for signs of the smoke, but the trees are thick. She looks hungrier and hollower than we have ever seen her. A few more steps and she collapses in the brush. She nearly passes out, but again she shakes her head to clear it. She starts pulling herself along the ground. A machete enters, framed by her face. Angle. Her warped point of view as she looks up is of a middle-aged South American peasant. He is holding the machete inches from the camera, speaking harshly in his own language.
What are you doing here?
Own language. Don't be racist.
What are you doing here? We don't want any trouble. Back down. Go back down and leave us alone.
I'm sorry. I don't understand. I don't understand.
A middle-aged woman and her teen son come through the brush.
Overacting.
The woman starts arguing with the men. He's pointing
yeah,
at
I
her
was
chains,
overacting.
then out in the distance. She overrules him, says something to her son. The son grabs the chain and starts pulling Diana up. The man comes at her, and for a moment she tenses, but he gets in front of her and lets the son drop her arms over him as he hoists her on his back and starts up. Exterior village continuing. It's a small village of tents and huts, maybe 20 people total living here. They stare at Diana as the man dumps her by the nearest open tent, at which sits an old woman. Diana leans back against the tent, breathing hard, still not sure what to expect. Someone puts a canteen of water to her lips and she drinks it, spilling as much as she takes in. Wasteful. The woman hands her a piece of flat bread. Shaking, Diana brings it to her lips, stopping before she eats.
I'll repay you. It's not charity. I work. I can work.
She bites into the bread gingerly, then cramming it in as for the first time ever, a tear runs down her face. Interior siloed day. At first it's just sparks and flashes, then we see clearly, magnetic arms retracting, level after level from the long metal monster. Interior Spearhead war room. Callus and the ops are monitoring.
And go!
Silo. The last arms pop back as it plummets. We get our first good look at the Chimera. It's long metal with insectile arms and machines attached or folded in hatches under the skin. At the bottom end is the lion's head, the multi-drill digging tool that glows with fire. The top end is the ram's head, a digging machine with giant teeth. Like the front of a bulldozer upside down, and with curved horns for scraping and pulling. Fire also spews from this side as well. Two heads attached by 100 feet of thick metal serpent's body. Totally practical, but unsettling. Anthropomorphic. Anthropomorphic.
Hippolyte.
Released, it shoots down the tunnel, eventually curving into the lower tunnel it has carved out of the earth and out of sight. Into your Spearhead war room.
She's out, running hot, straight, and normal.
Op 1 turns from his screen to Callus.
Take out a few more key structural supports and we'll be ready to play dominoes. It has to be tonight.
Callus's ladies.
And it has to be perfect.
That's what a woman sounds like.
Perfect. It is doable. By the time the dust settles, half the city will be gone. Not our half. And the chimera, how you say, will be en route to Beijing. She's a beautiful monster. It's a machine. Can we please agree that it's a machine? Miss Callis, there's someone here to see you.
Village. Day. Diana is half asleep, clearly feverish, when angry voices awaken her. She peers out of the hut she's in, seeing 5 rebels, long since co-opted by the drug trade. 4 men and 1 woman are entering the village, yelling at an old man. He offers them a bottle of liquor, which they take. Then one of them kicks him in the gut. Diana tries to rise, but is too weak. She shrinks back into the hut. The door is thrown open and she is pulled out along with the rest. One of the rebels points at her and starts yelling. The man who found her explains quietly, but is slapped in the face. The head of these guys grabs Diana. Off to one side of the village, an old metal washtub has been overturned and a hidden hatch opened. 2 of the rebels pull sacks of what must be drugs out of the pit below. The head guy tugs at Diana's blouse, looks down it, smiles. God, that's gross. But the old woman is talking now, and the rebel runs his finger along Diana's head, smells the sweat, fever. He tosses her away like a plague dog. Other men grab her. Diana's pushed into the pit. Interior Callus's office, afternoon. She sits behind her desk with her same smooth smile.
You know, I see a lot of potential in you.
Reverse to reveal clean, sitting opposite her.
You're the second lady that's told me that. I must be doing something right. The difference is I plan to help you realize that potential. What do you want? What every God-fearing American wants. America. More. Talk is there's about to be some reconstructing here in town. Right?
Yeah, it says restructuring.
Reconstructing. Yeah.
No,
Verbatim.
it just says restructuring.
Restructuring. Yeah.
Reconstructing.
And who's doing the talking? Well, that's the Daily Double right there, isn't it?
Daily double.
The Strong Ladies Posse. They all hiding out together. And now for a Daily Double. Really? Where?
Interior, the pit, day, silence. Diana sits on the ground, weak and feverish. Amongst the 6 or so others, she looks to one side and sees a girl of 8 staring at her intently. Oh, gosh. My mouth hurts. The girl says something, but Diana looks at her dully, not comprehending. The old lady who first fed Diana leans out of the shadow, speaks in heavily accented English.
She asks who you are.
Diana looks at them, then settles back against the wall.
It doesn't matter.
The girl speaks again, still looking as stern as a school marm. The old lady translates.
She say you should remember. Say they take everything away from you, except for that.
Slowly, light breaks onto Diana's face as she hears the familiar words. She sits up, looks at the little girl. Angle, the old woman in refugee camp, in slow motion from Diana's POV, asking her name. The hooker on the street in Gateway. The indignant girl at the club, eyeing her from her point of view. All of these pass through Diana's head, all asking who she is. And she realizes who has been watching her all this time.
Mother.
At first she looks down, shamed. But she takes a moment and looks the girl straight in the eye. New determination on her wan and bloodied face.
Yeah. Tell her I am Diana, princess of Themyscira. Say I'm chained and humbled, but I am unbroken. I am an Amazon Prime.
Sorry. She stands, barely able to in the tiny space, looking out through the cracks in the bamboo grating.
And tell everyone to move back.
Exterior village, interior the pit. Moments later, one of the rebels, gun slung over his back, opens the grate, tossing in.
You good?
Yeah.
Are you tired?
All right. One of the rebels, gun slung over his back, opens the grate, tossing in a few scraps of food. Diana shoots up out of the darkness and pulls him headfirst into the pit. He thrashes about. Diana gets an elbow in his face. Her precision and training still a part of her. He grabs at her and pulls her into the mud. They thrash like dogs, precision gone, till Diana gets behind him with her chain around his neck and pulls, ugly, unrelenting force in her arms, until he slackens. Exterior village. Diana peeps her head out. 2 men remain in view, 1 woman. They are haranguing the man who found Diana about the food he's laid in front of them. One of them goes in the hut. The other 2 watch, laughing as a sack of grain comes flying out. Diana slips out of the hatch and snakes her way, and kind of shakes, all way along the grass while they're distracted. She makes it behind the cluster of huts, looks for something to wield, finds a shovel.
Pablo!
Diana hears one of them calling out, looks to the hut. The rebel starts for the hut, and Diana comes around the corner, baseball batting the shovel in his face. He goes down hard as the woman starts to unsling her rifle, backing up, and Diana barrels into her, knocking them both down. Getting the gun away, the woman rolls up, and Diana swipes her in the knee with a shovel. The woman howls in agony, and Diana comes up with an elbow in her face. The rebel inside comes out firing. Diana dives out of sight. She gets up to a crawl, but the rebel fires through the flimsy hut walls, and she drops to the ground again. She peers through the hole he's made, sees him advancing, and she's got no cover. The rebel comes to the other side of the thin wall, and Diana comes through it. Knocking into him, he pulls away, trying to get his gun clear, and she grabs his belt as she falls before him, pulling him down. The fight gets dirty here, more room to maneuver than down in the pit, but just as primal. He gets off a few wild shots, and his clip is empty. He butts the rifle in Diana's bad ankle. She screams in pain and kidney punches him. Twice. 3 times. Then swings her leg around his neck and holds him down. A wrestler's hold. He gets his knife free, and she lets go, grabs his wrist with both hands. He punches her across the face and pushes her down. Knife in her face, and she can only push back until she starts to prevail, her strength and determination overwhelming his. Behind them, the female is not unconscious. She scrambles for her rifle. Diana twists her grip suddenly and breaks the guy's wrist. He screams, and she puts her whole body behind the forearm with that breaks his face. He goes down like a rag doll. Diana standing barely, legs wide and shaking above him. She is breathing hard, the image of fury and power. From inside the hatch, the little girl watches. Diana holds up her chained wrists and begins to pull. The other woman gets to her gun, eyes still on Diana's back. Diana strains. Her straining becomes a low noise, an agonizing roar, a scream of pain and resolve as in slow motion, she snaps her chains apart. The chains crumble as they come apart. Her wristbands clean of them. The woman fires. Diana blocks the shot behind her back without even looking. The woman is stunned, but about to shoot again when the man who found Diana puts his machete gently to her throat. Diana moves toward the hatch as the old lady and the others come slowly out. Diana is not limping. There is color to her that has been lacking. She looks down at the girl.
Thank you.
She tells me she has something, a gift for you, on top of the ridge.
Exterior clearing at the top of the mountain. Moments later, Diana crests the brush to find a clear, open plateau. The others are coming up behind her. Diana's point of view contains nothing, just flat dirt, and maybe a wink of sunlight hitting something indistinct. We push slowly in on Diana as a smile spreads over her face. Next to her, the old lady looks around confused.
Maybe it's a very little gift.
She starts to walk slowly, looking down like she's lost a contact lens, as Diana just smiles.
Everyone look around for the gift.
Exterior above the jungle.
Oh, here we go.
We are moving at jet speed over the landscape. Suddenly, the invisible jet in front of us banks, and we catch sunlight on it, outlining its shape and distorting the view beyond it ever so slightly. Then it is gone again. Interior, Steve's workplace. There is a rumbling beneath the building. All 4 of our guys, sitting under one hanging light in the middle of the dark space, stop and look at each other.
So that can't be good.
The floor bubbles right in the middle of them. They all move back, freaking as Strife rises, grinning.
Worse. Much worse.
Strife faces Steve.
Did you really think I wouldn't find you?
That's Strife.
Damn it.
That's Steve.
Did you really think
That's a lie.
Did you really think I wouldn't find you?
Actually, I was promised that you would.
Ben throws a switch, and the room is suddenly floodlit from one side, where Strife, pinned by the light, you can see dozens of video cameras, all in a semicircle, from the big professional to the smallest handheld. They're all unmanned, but all blinking red. Strife glares at the cameras. Steve, flanked by the others, continues.
It's called the internet age. No more hiding, no more shadows. This is going out to the whole world.
It's called Color Circuit.
So, what are you gonna sing for us today?
You think this matters?
Scrolling.
Everyone with a laptop just found out there's an apparating demigod with a face like a boiled hamster living in Gateway. I'd say it might cause a stir. No one will believe it, even what they see.
And if Gateway goes up in flames?
Gateway's not going up.
Interior, Callus's office. Callus is watching her computer. 3 separate feeds, 3 different angles. Wonder what that's like. While Clean still sits across from her.
Oh, shit. I'm going down.
The totality of Clean's betrayal dawns on her. She looks up at him murderously. He's cool as ice.
Yeah, so maybe I talk to them before I talk to you. Now your boy's talking to everyone. Y'all gonna be famous.
Clean's men burst through the doors, cock their weapons as Clean stands.
That's my world you're trying to end. What'd you think I was gonna do?
She glares. Interior, Steve's workplace. Steve is still facing off with Strife.
Don't you get that it's over? There's no point in killing us.
And we can't stress that enough.
We've already talked.
They won't listen. You overestimated your race. It'll be hidden, forgotten, a prank, a joke.
Wow! That's just what Diana called you.
Diana is gone.
Exterior coast. We continue to barrel along at jet speed, catching just highlights of the jet from the setting sun. Interior, Steve's workplace.
It's too bad, because without Diana, there's no one gives a damn about Strife anymore.
Strife pulls out his spear, but does not brandish it. Instead, he bangs the end on the floor with a disproportionately thunderous whump. In response, the earth shakes a little. Steve presses forward as the others fade back.
You're the joke that everyone will forget, because we only remember the good ones.
Whump! A second stamp from Strife's spear.
Bring Diana back. Give us a real fight. Don't be forgotten. Be immortal.
I am immortal.
Whump!
And now you will all see.
The Chimera bursts through the floor right under Strife. It shoots up, the demigod straddling its head, right, all the way through the ceiling and back down, reaching 40 feet high and showing just half itself. Everybody runs. The Chimera looks down at them and blazing flames shoot from its mouth, filling the room and frying the cameras. Interior, Spearhead War Room. Tech 2 is freaking. Actually, everybody is. Oh, on various screens are internet feeds, infrared, aerial cams, all showing the same thing.
It's surfaced. It's not supposed to surface. Shut it down. I can't. Miss Callis.
Interior, Callis' office. Clean is gone. Wide on Callis, all alone at her desk, head in her hands. The enormity of her failure sinking in.
We have a situation. You think?
Exterior, just outside. The gang runs to their van as behind them the Chimera smashes the sides of buildings like a thing insane.
So what? Yay?
They hop in and peel out as the Chimera flops thunderously down on the ground and snakes after them. It's over 100 feet long, and its ram's head tail smashes into the sides of buildings as it gives chase. Interior van. Steve has the pedal down, but the van is still losing ground.
We've got to get out of the city. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Steve turns hard left. Exterior street. The van screeches into a side street at the Chimera as the Chimera is about to overtake it. The Chimera keeps plowing down the street. The van goes around, running parallel, and then cutting back across the street behind the Chimera. As it passes behind the Chimera's second head roars fire at the van, blasting it. Interior van. As flames whip all around them.
Behind is not better.
And then they're past the street again on another side street. Strife rides the Chimera intently. He pulls its head up, like making a horse rear, and then he disapparates as the head plunges through the road, tearing through concrete like it's water, and the whole thing disappears into the earth. The van, as the gang looks about for the beast, as Steve is muttering,
Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
If we can get to the bridge.
A spear rips through the roof and plunges through Steve's arm. He cries out in pain.
Oh.
Sully's screaming too.
Oh.
As the van swerves and the spear
It's an
goes
Irish
back
scream.
up. I love Irish scream. Plunges back down, this time getting Griffin in the leg. Atop the van, Strife pulls the spear out again and just digs his hand into the front of the roof, starts tearing it off, and he's gone in an instant. Everyone in the van tenses.
Sully!
He leans over in a dead faint. Sully scrambles to get in the back.
Ben, give me my bag.
If you do one thing.
Give me my bag.
And my hearts and stars.
Purple moons! The Chimera erupts from the ground in front of them. Steve swerving and hitting the thing broadside. Everyone thrown hard to the side. They look up through the hole in the roof as the Chimera keeps shooting up out of the ground and then starts to topple onto them. They're trapped. They're dead. The Chimera topples and then is ripped back by something unseen. Something that cuts talon-like grooves in its head and sends it end over in the other direction. Interior, Diana's jet. Here the plane is still partially invisible, the area around and below visible but distorted, and overlaid with virtual readouts and maps. It's sleek and sci-fi, but still feels oddly organic. Diana lies on her stomach to operate the plane. Yeah, she does. So the effect is almost one of actual flying. She's in the outfit. That's capitalized. Left by her mother, lasso at her hip. Only it's a little shinier, the tiara, little more intricate, the color is vibrant. Diana is a superhero now. Bring. Below her, we see the streets, and the Chimera breathing fire down the streets from both ends as she banks back towards it. It lifts its lion head, and Diana dips low, smacking it hard back to the ground. The jet shudders and careens a bit, but she controls it, pulling her back up. Steve is watching from a block away with Ben, who's wrapping his arm. They're out of the van and behind a building. Sully is in the BG tending to Griffin.
What's
Background.
What's happening?
Steve doesn't answer. The Chimera turns its head as though sniffing the air. Close on its sides as out push four thick rounding jets, swiveled like Harrier jets. The monster's entire lifts from the ground. The monster entirely lifts from the ground. The jet swiveling to send it flying straight. Lion head leading after its foe.
Oh, come on!
Griffin wakes up enough to see it in the sky.
Hey, it's flying now.
Diana from the front, the Chimera visible in the background, as we now know. Moving above her, shifting, finally locking on her and blasting fire at her as she banks hard. We see the jet ripple part us as the Chimera banks the other way. Diana brings the jet around and flies directly at the Chimera, dipping low at the last second, and as the beast passes overhead, slamming up into it, knocking it into a roll that swipes the corner off the top of a building. Diana has more trouble gaining control, but she comes around fast. Getting near the Chimera and then pulling straight up into the sky, the beast hitting all jets to catch up, both leaving the city far beneath them. Close on Diana, pulling at the stick for all she's worth.
All or nothing.
She pulls it back and loops around, comes at the Chimera, which is still going straight up, dead on. The jet's wing slices through the Chimera just below the lion's head. The head topples back towards the city as the body continues blindly straight up. Inside the jet, things are fritzing pretty badly, and she's shaking hard. Diana looks down and sees the lion head is falling straight toward a crowd.
No!
She pulls the jet around. On the street, people scream and scatter, the flaming head plummeting like a meteor. Diana gets the jet under it and takes the hit, the head rolling off the back and onto the street just as it clears, the jet skidding on the street. Finally hitting Steve's van and spinning out, slicing into the side of a building and settling amid the smoke. Steve has followed its unseen course with confused wonder. He starts for the smoke, drawn to it, seeing a figure emerge, silhouetted in the smoke but unmistakable.
Diana!
She stops, seeing him, relief on her face. He breaks into a near run. Bonk! He goes right back on his ass, having hit his head on an invisible wing.
Whoa! Ow! What the hell?
Happens a lot with invisible planes, people don't know. She reaches him, squats as he sits up.
It's my glider. My jet. It's invisible. I'm sorry.
You have an invisible jet?
Where's Strife?
Somewhere near. You have an invisible jet?
Yeah.
I thought Amazons didn't have modern technology.
That's because you didn't see it.
The Chimera, as it continues
How
shooting up
convenient.
the ram's head, trailing at the bottom, sparks to life, eyes narrowing with intent as it takes over. The engines slow, stop, and spin around. The monster bullets down through the clouds toward the tiny city space. On the street, Diana is moving forward, looking up.
I've got to keep that thing in the air. Can you get these people off the streets?
I'll try. You know, I kind of made the big monster come out.
Who else?
Ew.
Diana, everything I've said to you,
The Chimera roars overhead, spewing fire at them and everything in sight. Diana pushes Steve down out of the way.
Clear the streets.
She runs on top of a burning car and leaps up 2 stories to a fire escape, swings herself on as she whips the lasso up to latch on higher.
Now he wants to talk about his feelings.
The rooftops. As Diana comes leaping up into frame, landing on the very edge of the nearest roof and running along the edge, the camera moving with her as she leaps from one roof to the next, then coming behind her and slightly above as she approaches an intersection and jumps into mid-air. The ground 7 stories below, and the Chimera roars through the frame, Diana landing right on its back. She hits and rolls back with the Chimera's momentum. She grabs a piece of it and holds on, getting her bearings as the Chimera shoots between buildings, occasionally spewing fire at the street. Diana whips out her sword and plunges it into the thing's back. In response, various arms designed for hacking and sawing open from its body and respond, Diana slicing or kicking them off. A hatch opens near the top of the neck and a swiveling gun pops up and fires nonstop. Diana deflects.
I am so tired of guns.
Finally aiming the bullets back at the weapon and destroying it. The moment she does, the wall of a building dips in at her, and she goes flat as bricks, and dust pummel her. The Chimera is literally trying to scrape her off. On the street, debris from the building comes crashing down as Steve and Ben are trying to herd people away. They're either frozen in panic or looking up.
Come on, move!
nothing I see here.
Listen to me!
Suddenly, 3 Humvees come screeching around the corner, avoiding the flaming wreckage and crashed cars. In the passenger seat of the front Humvee, a convertible stands clean. He pulls up beside Steve.
I thought the plan was save the city.
We gotta get people out of the city or underground. I can't budge them.
Clean hits his lieutenant, who's been listening, on the shoulder. He runs back to spread the word as Clean reaches into the Humvee. He pulls out an automatic weapon and fires it into the air. A couple of his men do the same.
Get off at the street! He's the Irish guy.
No.
He is now. People listen.
But
His other Humvees pull out to do hard detail. Clean fires again.
Hey, watch where you shoot that thing. There's somebody up there.
We shoot to Diana, has weathered the wall scraping and is making her way to the head of the Chimera. She raises her sword to plunge it in, and Strife appears in front of her in motion, slamming it into her and sending them both rolling back. They fight for purchase on the careening metal dragon, then they fight each other. He produces a sword, and they hack at each other with lurching inelegance.
I owe you a debt of thanks.
I do too.
To be paid in blood.
No other way.
Again they go!
Yeah,
Even as the
good one.
Chimera scrapes against walls, Diana is having trouble holding her own, but she is relentless. The Chimera suddenly plummets it like a roller coaster, and the two drop snagging onto its head as it levels out again just feet from the street. Dingled, swords gone, the combatants claw at each other, straining still for purchase.
Is this not grand? This is what we were meant for. The signs were everywhere. Whooshing. In the painting, the city still crumbles. After you die, it will.
The Chimera is headed straight for a construction site, a half-built building that the beast is clearly going to fly right through. Strife is above Diana, facing the back, and does not see. He pushes his spear at her face, her hands on the shaft, straining to keep it away.
I remember one thing about the painting.
Waits for the sight to get closer.
You're not in it.
Oh! At the last second, Strife looks around and Diana unexpectedly rolls him off the side, grabbing his spear and dropping him as she catches his foot with her lasso. The Chimera goes through the side, and instead of hitting a steel beam, Strife is dragged through tons of concrete, steel, glass, the bottom, finished half. Diana has the spear stuck in the Chimera, uses all her might to hold onto it until a rope recoils back to her, no Strife on the end. She climbs on top and pulls the spear out.
Enough.
And drives it into the beast's neck over and over and over and over and over. Sparks and fire erupting from the wound. From the street, the Chimera swoops and shudders, clearly losing control. It finally straightens out, heading down the street and straight for Steve and the crowd of people he and Clean are herding away. He realizes they're not going to get away in time. Diana sees the crowd several blocks away.
Enough.
She drives the spear down deeper. The lights in the Chimera seem to go out, and she grabs the horns, and pushes its head down to the ground. Then up at the last second to slide along the street in a crash landing that tears pavement for 4 blocks before it stops, just 50 feet from the crowd. The dust settles, and everyone stares in awe. A moment, and the head lifts. People move back, and Clean levels his machine gun at it. Then the head lifts more, rips, and Diana holds it above her by the horns. Arms up in a warrior's victory stance. The thing is 3 times her size, and the sight of her holding it is impressive indeed. The crowd goes wild. Strife suddenly knocks her aside. Woo! Grabbing his spear, the head rolls away as he jumps on her, his face broken and blackened. He drives the spear at her heart, but she grabs it, keeps it from going in. They strain. Automatic fire peppers the demigod. Steve has Clean's gun, is firing with brutal precision. Diana looks with shock at him. It does nothing but enrage Strife. He disappears. Diana rolls up with
Yeah.
the spear and hurls it with all her might at Steve. There is a moment, her eyes on his, where we can see nothing but contempt from her, slight fear from him. Then Strife appears right in front of Steve, and the spear goes instantly through him, the point as close to Steve's heart as it had been to Diana's. A moment, and Strife collapses. Steve and Diana hold their gaze, and a measure of relief and respect creep into both. They didn't know if that was going to work. Lightning streaks up from the spear, sticking out of Strife's body. Everyone backs away. The lightning streaks back down, touches ground right in front of Diana. Smoke pours up, twisting, forming, becoming a kind of statue of an enormous, bizarrely armored warrior 20 feet high and hunched before her. Out of the smoke steps the warrior. There is a light about him, almost coming from his joints, that tell us this is an apparition, not the god himself. If ever Ares' face looked human, it is past that now. His voice is all around, the thunder itself.
Woman,
Ares.
this is my kin, my blood. What right have you to spill it?
No warrior enters the arena without blood on the line. Even Strife knew that.
You will suffer for this. You will see this world in ashes.
Will I?
You cannot defeat a god.
They can.
The people of Earth turn their back on me? On war?
Someday. Maybe.
I am in mankind. I am in their darkest hearts and their greatest schemes, and I am never going away.
Neither am I.
She turns and starts away.
Then you will see me again, girl.
Yes. Let's keep in touch.
Sequel.
Oh, call back.
Oh.
Ares nearly bursts with rage, but a hunk of concrete from the building above falls right onto him, and he poofs out of sight. And the entire image dissipates as we see that we're
like
looking at
Coachella.
it in a large bowl of rippling water, widened to see Hippolyte's chamber. Circe is staring into the bowl. She looks grave.
The fury of Ares is eternal. What Diana has started here will shake the earth.
Come around to see Hippolyte.
Remember her?
Aethra behind her. There is nothing but pride in the queen's smile.
That's my girl.
Exterior street, night. Diana walks a few steps, drops to her knees. She is far from the crowd, and only now lets exhaustion and relief overcome her. She looks down a moment, breathing hard. When she looks up again, Steve is standing before her, her sword held in his outstretched hands. It's a deliberately formal gesture.
You drop this.
She stands easily and takes it, sheathing it.
Whoa, whoa. Finders keepers.
She smiles.
Did you mean it? About not going away?
Of course.
I'm aware that I'm an idiot.
Not at all.
Little bit.
Little bit. But you were right. I didn't understand people. I still don't. I've got a lot of work to do.
Well, you've got us. And we recently added a gun-wielding crack dealer to the roster. That's got to be a plus.
Clean.
Jesus.
Of course, you've got a jet somewhere, though, so you probably won't need a pilot.
She pulls him in to the kiss of his life. After a good long while they part.
Your whole life on an island with only women, and you can kiss like that?
It's an interesting story.
Jesus.
It can't possibly be as good as the one I'm making up right now.
Are you sure about that?
He
Big
smiles,
boy.
a lot like-
defeated.
it's
They
a lot
start
like
off towards
Porky's.
the others.
So, what happens now?
Exterior Greece, afternoon. We fly above the beautiful city, frame up on an ancient temple sitting on the edge of a cliff. As we see it, the invisible plane whooshes through the frame, rippling the visual. Exterior temple a bit later. Diana is kneeling before a statue of Athena. This one is small and worn with age, but it's recognizably her. We find Steve standing at the edge of the temple by the cliff waiting. After a time, she gets up, walks by him to the cliff's edge, looking out at the sunset. She gets down on her knees. She doesn't get down on her knees.
It's not what you're used to.
Just used to say that for this.
I still feel her. Here.
Athena.
Here.
Athena.
these.
Athena. What'd you say to her?
I'll tell you one day.
She puts a toe out over the cliff.
Whoa, hey there, Diana. The jet's over there. Or there.
I know. I've been thinking about gliding, about reading the wind on my own. It would be useful.
Reading the... okay. You're a hell of a woman, but Diana, you can't fly.
She throws a look over her shoulder. That neophyte incomprehension with a little ironic smile underneath.
Can't.
Blackout. The words Wonder Woman hit the screen. The end.
Hey, are we clapping?
Why did I make that? I
Why
don't
did they make
understand.
that?
Jesus.
Wow. Epic 3-hour.
116 pages of pure bliss.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts, guys? What do you take away from this?
Well, my brain hurts
Yeah.
from looking at a
Got a
computer
sore
screen.
throat?
My butt hurts. My eyes hurt. All of it
Oh,
hurts.
you're all butthurt.
You're all butthurt.
Butt
From
hurt.
anal
Yeah.
sex.
They didn't hear
At
that.
least you're not a gun wheel. At least you're not a gun wielding coke dealer.
I know.
Yeah.
I guess I missed
crack-
that part where
crack dealer.
crack dealer
Crack
got in
dealer.
there somewhere. Yeah, I mean, the thing I always think of with this first draft is that you write it to get to a second draft, to get to a third draft.
And that was definitely a first draft.
that
There
was
was a lot of
first
typos.
ass draft,
Yeah.
yo.
Yeah.
But it really lacked anything resembling Joss Whedon. Like
Yeah.
the dialogue was blah.
Yeah, but
There was
he does.
maybe some
He has a bit of
hints.
corniness in his shows.
No, but it's not the campy that's a problem. Camp is fine. It just was bland.
It was
Yeah.
bad. I didn't enjoy it.
The one part where I thought there was a little bit of Joss in there was one of the bad guys had like a monologue or something, or like a scene with just Diana, and it was like, okay, I can kind of see this in a Joss Whedon world.
Yeah.
but the rest of it was just wow. So but it must be it'd be interesting to see like the first drafts of Buffy episodes and stuff, like the first
Yeah.
pilot.
I've never
you
actually even
know.
seen the original movie. Is it
It's
good, bad? I mean,
It has its fans, but not fans of the TV series
right.
yeah.
How'd you feel about it, Nick?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was. I was actually the dragon thing was actually kind of cool.
You like the dragon?
Yeah, I was into the dragon. I liked how
I'm
powerful
dragon.
Wonder Woman was. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, not being a big Joss Whedon fan, but I'm not surprised this didn't get made.
Yeah, I'm not surprised
Totally.
either.
Yeah. So
I thought for as like much attention that was brought to it for its misogyny, I thought it would be worse. To be honest
Yeah,
with you.
I think
mean,
there
there's
were-
definitely parts in there that we all
Yeah.
like gawked at. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
kind of
Winced.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought maybe there would be some more whores in there, as he puts. Or,
Yeah, a lot of hookers
yeah,
and
hookers.
the word whore
I
and
think the amount that was in there was enough
too much. Yeah,
Like,
maybe
already
too
too
much.
much.
Already
Yeah.
too much. Yeah,
Too
no,
much
sure,
whore.
sure, yeah.
for a Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe not for a Catwoman movie.
I am
Sure,
really glad
okay.
of what came.
Yes.
What came of Wonder Woman.
It's a great
This
film.
movie's much better than what we just went through. What we
Right.
just lived through.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of good things. A
all
lot
did
of
too.
female empowering things came from the actual made Wonder Woman movie. The female director, the biggest opening weekend ever for a female director.
Yeah,
all
that's
good things.
amazing.
And it's a great movie. It's not crap. It's
and
really
that
good.
and that's second biggest significant kind of directorial movie launch because Get Out was the biggest black male director.
And that was his first film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and his first film, which
Yeah.
is even crazier.
So yeah, we're glad it ended the way it did with the movie we have now
Yeah.
seeing the light of day, and this is just buried to the bowels of the internet.
Do you guys,
Let
if
it
you
wither
can
away.
remember, do you have like is there a worst scene in here?
It's like Christmas.
It's like Christmas.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
dancing
The
thing.
dancing. Oh yeah, the whole club just in
Yeah, the
general.
club
I didn't
was
like
great.
anything about
That
the
was
club.
a shit scene. That was a shit show.
And the way they made the god, it was just like this is bad. He just seemed
Yeah.
like a really tropey bad guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which with a little work they could have figured it out. Like
Sure.
it was there was some character to that, but yeah, the way it was
Yeah.
bad.
Well,
Yep.
all right.
all right.
But
Right.
Thank our guest Nick for being
Hey,
here
thank
today.
thank you so much, Nick.
Yeah, we'll do more of
Chat
these.
for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that how long this
Yeah.
this is?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Let's
just
do
hit
like
6
a-
o'clock.
Let's do a sitcom next time, and just
Yeah, or like a Law and
30
Order
minutes
or
in.
something like
We
that.
have
30,
about
60
that.
in
Yeah.
and out.
Yeah.
We were gonna break this up, but by the time we were gonna break it up, we
I
were
didn't
already
wanna leave
2/3
once
through.
we were in it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing on your Sunday afternoon?
Yeah.
This. Yeah. I got nothing else to do. All right.
All right, thanks.
You wanna sign us
So
off?
coming up this week, again, thanks for watching Color Circuit this week. And next week we have tomorrow. We're gonna have Controller Alt Delete tomorrow night. That'll be Dylan and I and Bon part way. We're also gonna be doing some Ludin Tempest, board games, circuit board.
We Destined Few makes its return.
That's right, Destin
wah,
Few
wah, wah.
on Tuesday.
It's a role playing game. Maybe we can get Nick on there.
Have you ever done it
You
at
like the
RPG?
Fiasco game we played, so
Yeah, I've been-
yeah. There's there's
Let's not ask on camera.
Yeah. Well,
you better be there,
Don't make
Nick.
it awkward.
but
Send
we have
help.
We have a lot planned, and thanks for watching. Again, if you like what you saw, like, share, follow, tell your
Subscribe.
friends, subscribe.
All
the
the
verbs.
verbs.
That's
All
right.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for watching.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night.
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.